Hello and welcome to our live stream here on Daily Faceoff and the DFO YouTube channel. Another installment of Quests for Gold, our limited series here covering the men's and women's hockey tournament at the 2026 Milan Winter Games. We are a presentation of Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Pleased to be joined as always by Ann-Sophie Bettez and Madison Packer. Once again for this live stream, we'll have plenty of guests joining as well. During this, it's Canada. It is the United States of America. It is a rivalry as old as time between these two teams, both in the men's game and obviously what we're watching right now, the women's game. Get to the biggest story as the game is underway. Just about a couple of minutes gone through the first period. The score is 0-0. Canada leading with one shot. Marie-Philippe Poulin, listed as day-to-day, the Canadian captain, missing her first game at the Winter Olympics since the gold medal game in 2006. So quite some time that the Canadians will have been without their captain for this one, listed as day-to-day against the Americans, obviously not playing. But and so I wanted to get your take right away as soon as we jump things off. And Renee Debian is starting in goal for the Canadians. Started the other night as well against Czechia. Are you surprised to see her go in back-to-back games?
No, I think it was to be expected. I mean, she loves to play. If we look in the PWHL, she's had a lot of the games, and you want to be with the best player on the ice, and she is probably one of the best players for the Canadian team. And not surprised that she's there. She played in the rivalry series, and there's a lot of, confidence for her to be back into this game and approaching, and hopefully for them to be facing again in the final. And I think it's just a normal thing that that she's in nets today.
Madison, when you look at kind of the way that these two teams obviously play and they know a lot of each other, a lot of them play together against each other in the PWHL and at different levels throughout hockey. U.S. has won 6 times in a row in this rivalry right now between these two teams. But if you're the head coach, John Robo, as you like to call him, Robleski, what's your message early on in this hockey game for the Americans?
I think just stick to your game, focus on the controllables. Obviously, we've talked about it. They've got a mix of young players and veterans. I noticed early on they made the switch. They put Bilka down on a line with Heisey, and they moved Britta Curl-Salemi up. I think that that's intentional. I think that that second line brings a ton of sandpaper for the U.S., and I think that spreading them out a little bit, we know it's going to probably be a gritty game, a chippy game. So I like that switch, and I think that it gives them a different look at things going into the qualifying round. So I think that they just focus on what they can control, and hopefully for them, they can get some confidence and get some pucks in deep early.
You both have played in big games, obviously. Is this one any different? Like a little bit more pregame jitters when it's Canada and it's US?
I think less in this one, right? I think that this is a good game, especially for the young players to get your feet underneath you. Either way, it's a packed building. I mean, look at the crowd right now. But
Yeah.
I think that it's a good test. Again, I love the way that they've paired the tournament so that you get a lot of these good matchups and you get people that want to be in the building. So it gets those players that maybe aren't used to the moment. But I mean, you look at where most of these players have played their college hockey, right? They're used to the moment. They're used to the pressure. So I think it's a good test to get a feeling for the ice and get a feeling for the atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's just as we mentioned, like this game is for the seeding, but they're all going to advance to the quarterfinals, and so I think it's just good for the experience. And as Madison said, it's just a matter of get the legs going, and these are the two best teams, best on best, and I think the U.S. just scored now. I believe, but yeah, like that's what you want, having games like this, and this is what we strive for women's hockey to develop over the years, and that's what the other countries are wanting to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right. Caroline Harvey, believe she was one of your standout performers in one of the games, getting the Americans on the board early in the first period, less than 4 minutes into the game. Caroline Harvey, from the point, defense turning to offense. And Madison, when you look at it, that's kind of been the key to success so far this tournament for the Americans.
Yeah, and I think Knight was close and getting her stick on that too, but I think Nighter's going to get an assist on that, which I think is going to move her up the leaderboard for all-time points. Now she's tied for first. If they give that to her for passing it up to the point, but I mean, Harvey's been on fire. I think that this is her first Olympic, and she's played up at the University of Wisconsin, so she's used to playing in a bunch of games. But she's fun to watch. She takes the puck end to end. She doesn't really panic when she gets in situations where most defensemen might. But that's awesome. Yeah, she's coming off a 3-point game.
Okay, and so you get scored on less than 4 minutes into this game. Usually the first 5 to 7, 8 minutes is a feeling out process between these two teams. But right now you're on the heels. So for Canada, how do you attack the rest of this period?
I think it's just kind of not forget what happens, but keep, sticking to the process. And again, it's a long game. 60 minutes is long, and we all know that yes, 5 minutes happened. There's only 2 shots that was taken by the US, but it's kind of like not necessarily playing to the scoreboard and playing and sticking to the process and building blocks, because ultimately what you want is getting to that final game. And as we mentioned today, whether it is first place, second place, they're all going to advance. And so I think it's just a matter of sticking to the little details and sticking to the plans, keeping things simple, and then continuing to work hard throughout this 60-minute or this 55 minutes left, I guess.
5 points in 3 games for Caroline Harvey, and a statistic just got shown, and I'm laughing a little bit. She has 18 shots on net, Madison, throughout this tournament so far. Like, that is a ridiculous stat for me, and so much of this offense of the Americans is so good up front with the forwards and the talent they have there, but it's the defense that's really been leading the way.
Yeah, she's not playing defense. Like, she can skate backwards, but she's not playing defense. Right? You got 4 forwards out there. But it's fun because I mean she's sound and strong defensively, but she's, an anchor on the blue line. I mean, it's what makes her so dangerous and so versatile.
How much of an advantage is that, though? Like, you have someone that is so talented that they make playing defense look as effortless as it does, or as she does, and obviously her being able to contribute so much offensively too.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible skill set. A big part of it is you watch her skate. Everyone talks about the different as you move up different in the different levels. The worst chirp I ever got was actually from Poulin. She was like, "You can't even skate." It literally cut me so deep to my core because skating is the most important. Yeah, it was deep. Um, Skating is the most important part as you move up in levels, right? I mean, the way that Caroline Harvey can skate, it's just like it's like Connor McDavid. The way that he skates, it's a gift. And so I think for her, especially as a defenseman, you talk about forwards who go back on the blue line and they transition, like Layla Edwards. That's tough too. That's really tough though, because you're working on gap, you're trying to figure out skate backwards, etc. Harvey plays the game from the blue line and then has everything to work with in front of her. So
Oh,
it's a skill set that she obviously developed as a young kid, but it makes her super dangerous.
let's rewind that a little bit. Marie-Philippe Poulin told you couldn't skate?
Yeah, it was last season, 2 seasons ago, the PWHL. In fairness, I absolutely buried her from behind, and it was an accident.
Okay,
Like,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I stepped on someone's stick, and then like it was her or me, so it's not going to be me. And I crushed her from behind, and they didn't call it. So we were 6-on-5. We'd pulled the goalie, and I was like, it was like my only one of my 2 shifts in the game. So I was like, I got to get out there and prove something. Buried her from behind, and she turns, she looks at me. You can't even skate, Packer. I'm like,
And so, when you think of Marie-Philippe Poulin, you don't really think of her as much of the talker amongst the group, but clearly, obviously, she definitely can let you have it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the game too. And if we look even in the PWHL, like there's little like talks at the face-off, or after the whistle at the around the net, and I think it's just part of the game. And I think we just have to not take it personal, but it's just part of the game. But yeah, Poulin wasn't I'm gonna say like much of a talker before, but I feel like over the years she became probably more of a target, because when she was 18-year-old, she was like nobody knew who she was. She kind of was in the corner, and then she became the player who she is today. And I think a lot of people like just look up to her. And you look at a girl like Abby Rock, who is amazing at it. Maybe she's teaching her some stuff right now in the PWHL.
Canada is about to take a penalty. Turnbull. Thinking they're discussing how long this penalty might be. Looks like it's going to be 2 minutes, but regardless, the Americans are going to go to the power play. So are we looking for Carpenter to get another goal here? That's just kind of been the automatic thing that we can jot down as soon as U.S. goes with the extra player on the ice there, Madison.
Yeah, I don't know. They move the puck so quickly. And you think, like, where she's at in that bumper spot, most people don't want to be in that spot because they never get the puck. But like I said before, all she needs is half a second and it's in the back of the net. Her release is unreal.
Yeah, just a
Yeah, and
2-minute
her
penalty.
deflection too. She's good at deflecting
Yeah.
the puck. You know, like just coming, cutting the goalie's eyes or just touching it. She like her hand-eye coordination is so great, and yeah, Carpenter's a massive threat. And the bad thing for Canada is that Blair Turnbull, which is usually a penalty killer, is now in the box. So that's going to be tough for Canada, and you don't have Poulin out there, so that's two big penalty killers there.
But this has to be, and so this has to be a big kill, right? You have to kill this penalty. You can't go down 2-0 less than 10 minutes into this game against this team.
Yeah, like we all know how hard it is to score goals at that level and how hard it was for Canada. And I think it's just going to be a matter of, you know, making sure that they kill that and build momentum off that. Because if they're able to stop the U.S. power play, it's going to be a good win for them.
Did we see yet? Did Knight get an assist on that first goal?
I'm going to double check right now.
Trying to look it up.
Let's see.
Then that would mean that if her next point was a goal, her goal to break with the record would also be the point to break the
record. No, she wasn't credited with an assist. Just Haley Wynn got the only assist on that goal so far. These things always tend to change when they look at audits and stuff after periods and things like that. But so far, it is Caroline Harvey from Haley Wynn. That's all.
We have a comment from YouTube. Willie Styles asking, who had the best chirps that you guys have played against?
Packer, you probably have some good ones.
Yeah, I was going to say. Madison's probably pretty good, no?
Oh, I live for it. I loved it. Probably Jocelyn Lamoureux.
Yeah, they were...
Yeah. I used to play against the Lamoureux twins. The problem with them was if you took on one, you had to deal with both of them. But yeah, that was fun when they were at North Dakota. And I played against them when they were at Shattuck. So we used to go at it.
And so
I don't know. I haven't really been. I'm kind of. I try to stay away from that stuff. I'll have to think about that one, but probably sometimes in the CWHL with the Brampton Thunder. Jocelyn Larocque was.
Well, Larocque is good too.
She was like. Sometimes you go in the corner and then you get a whistle, and then you were told some bad stuff, but. Yeah, I'd probably go with her, Larocque.
Canada just 10 seconds away from killing off this penalty. USA only able to get a couple of shots. So this one, before I speak too soon, nice save there, made by Debian. Yeah, penalty's over. So that's a win for Canada, I would say, in my books, being able to kill that one off. You know, don't go down 2-0 early in this hockey game. But offensively, you know, you're without your captain, you're without your leader, and so. Who are you looking to step up in this game for the Canadians?
I mean, everyone has to step up. Yeah. Like, who's able to fill out Poulin's skates? And it's not only going to be one person, but, you know, I really like Fillier, Nurse, and Daryl Watts' line. I think they were able to contribute or to generate a lot of energy. They haven't been scoring all that much. We saw that Fillier was able to, you know, put up some points, but I'd like to see more offensive contribution from them, but they've done a great job of creating momentum and energy. Again, that line with Stacey, Turnbull, and Clark, I think they're, you know, they're set up as like a third line, but if you're able to get that offensive punch from your third line, that's a really good sign. And so I think it's a little bit of everyone. And as we mentioned last time, getting those defense. Just like the U.S. is doing, like Harvey, we need like Claire Thompson, Renata Fast to be able to contribute and bring pucks to the net, create offense from their D.
I'm going to ask you each, what this is kind of more of a personal story. This is obviously a big game. On the heels of that, Madison, what's been your best moment, big game situation, that game that you really got up for and were ready to go for?
Ooh.
Nerves going, had the pits in the stomach, maybe a little anxiety kind of just before you step on the ice because you knew it was that big.
Yeah, I think maybe my first PWHL game.
Okay.
I separated my shoulder in the first day of training camp going into the PWHL. So it was like in the training camp situation, like it just was a really, really hard situation, hard training camp. And so I made the team by like just like the tiniest sliver. And then I missed the first game. So I felt like then our next game was at home where I was dressing for the first time. It was up in Connecticut, which is where I live now. So I think probably that was just, I felt a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety because of the whole experience to get there.
Obviously had a great career before that, and obviously continued for you. But what about Anso? What's one of your favorite, most memorable moments in a game where you looked at and said, "Oh man, like this is the one where I'm still kind of feeling it, still nervous, and even sitting on the bench before puck drop, you're still like, all right, well, here it is."
Well, I think it was at university level where we went to national championship, and the year before, McGill went to the final and they lost, and we had some fourth year going to fifth year, and they decided to come back because they didn't want to finish basically on losing in the final.
Okay, I think we're back. We just got to get Enso and Madison back in, but Irf, we are connected here. So maybe just message the group.
What should I say?
Just refresh and rejoin. Okay, we are back live.
All right, technical difficulties. Yes, it even happens to the best of us. So just wait for Anso to refresh and rejoin. The takes were too hot. They sizzled our connection here. But there's a question. It's interesting. One from Will Willie Styles again. Do you think the IIHF should allow checking in women's hockey just like it does kind of in the PWHL?
I mean, I think they kind of are.
Yeah.
What do you think, Enzo? I think the level of, I mean, it's a little bit less, but like, I mean, do you look at Colton Kova's hit on Poulin? That's a hit. That's an illegal check in the PWHL too. I think that they let most things at this level go.
Well, like
if
I look at Fast yesterday, last game she played, she like nailed Kaltokova, but like her skates was in the same direction in the PWHL. That would have probably have not been a call. So the problem is for the refs, it's hard. For the player, it's hard. So I'd like to have just the same consistency across both leagues. Whether what's applied in the PWHL is applied to the IIHF, and I think they should match up the standings. And as we all know, like the PWHL has the special rules where the jailbreak and stuff like that. That's okay; it could stay. But for the checks, the elite the hits, I think I would like to have some consistency because it's just hard again for the players and for the referee to know what's the standard, what's okay, what's not, and you start thinking, and then yeah.
They also, I think, have to start letting people hit younger. Like I'm sure that there's a bunch of data to support why USA Hockey moved hitting from Pee Wee to Bantam, but like now girls are allowed to hit at the pro level, but any girls or women now who haven't played boys hockey to that point, you're learning to hit and receive a hit when you're your fastest and your strongest, right? Like, I mean, you can tell the girls that have played, or the women that have played boys hockey and the ones that haven't. The women that have played boys hockey just annihilate people. I mean, look at Colton Kova.
Yeah.
No, she's playing full contact hockey at all times. And I'm not advocating for that, but I think that they need to start introducing it earlier and earlier, even at the NCAA level, because if that's what these players are going up to anyways, then they need to be prepared. Otherwise, the injuries are just going to skyrocket.
Well, even in the NCAA. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No. I think that's the biggest point of learning how to receive a check. That's when the injury happens most of the time. So, let alone giving it. But now, like we see anyway here in Quebec, we have kind of like lessons where we introduce body checking and how to create contact, and especially how to receive contact, protecting your neck and your head is like the most dangerous thing that can hit the board. So if you can just learn how to receive that hit, I think that will reduce a lot of the injuries. And again, also learning how to hit, but I think it's mostly receiving that hit, and as Madison said, like learning it as a younger age. And it's not a matter of just like hitting, it's the goal of hitting is separating the puck from the player. That's the main idea. So that's why like middle ice hits should not be happening all that much. And that's why like when they say your skates are going in the same direction, like technically that's fine. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of introducing it at a younger age, and as Madison said, like university to having it, because the gap between the NCAA or the youth sports is so big with the PWHL. So just a matter of bridging that gap and making sure we have some similarities.
I think that's a great question, and obviously a talking point where that can continue to grow. But let me ask you guys, when did you learn to hit, or was it even introduced to you guys at a young age, or when did you start, or was it more of like a trial by fire? You got hit, you're like, okay, well, I guess I can do this too.
Mine was like a gauntlet. Mine was back in the era. Mine was the era of USA Hockey, when it's the reason we have Save Sport now. Like I remember I played for this guy that was in the Marines. If we lost, he used to make us hold the push-up position on the bench with our like feet up on the bench and our hands down, holding push-ups in our full gear. But the first day of Pee Wee, we get on the ice and he lines half the team up on one side of the ice, other half of the team on the other side of the ice. And you just had to skate full speed at each other until you learned not to flinch. That's how we learned how to hit. So now it make more sense to you, right, Ann-So?
Yeah. I mean, I try to be faster and try to get away with the hits. But I remember I played boys hockey. Because like girls hockey wasn't as developed as it is today. I remember, and I did play defense, and then I took a slap shot at the blue line, and I looked at my shot going to the net, and then all of a sudden it was like bang. I was like, okay. So note to myself: whenever you're shooting the puck, don't look at where the puck is going. Look at who's coming at you, and then you kind of learn and as we go. But yeah, I was more like the try to set up the plays and try to stay away from the physical play. But yeah, so I guess that's with the boys I learned.
I was right in the middle of it.
Yeah, because you love it.
You're like, okay, I like to talk, I like to hit. That's out of your game. Look, you were a captain for a very long time, obviously a leader out there, but there's another question as well.
Well, Madison can't skate anyway, so
according to Philippe Poulin. I hope this gets back to her at some point. Once she's healthy and all, we can laugh about
me
this.
Too. She cut me so deep. I like went home that night. I said to my wife, I was like, can you believe that Pooh said I can't skate? Like, she's like, yeah, I can believe that.
If you were allowed, is another more of an equipment related question. in this game, would you switch from full face protection to half shield in the women's game?
How much money are you going to pay me to take a puck to the mouth?
Yeah.
That's the biggest question. Like, yeah, right? Like, the guys get paid millions, and it's, like, sexy to walk around with a huge scar on your face when you're a dude, but when you're a woman, it's not. We don't get paid enough. The dental on that is insane.
Yeah,
No
missing
way.
tooth wouldn't be nice.
Yeah, no, it's a
So,
different look.
and I don't know
Uh,
what would be the
Better
added
marketing,
value,
though.
honestly. Like, but like
Well,
they can see,
they say it's because they can see your face more,
yeah, but
but,
you
like,
know, like I, I, I
that's why I don't know
I
why
wouldn't do
all
it.
the juniors boys all take their face masks off and put half shields on when they play juniors.
Yeah,
But then when you go play college, you have to put a mask on, and like all you're doing is increasing your risk of not getting hit in the mouth with the puck. Like,
yeah. No, sorry. If you want to look at our faces, like do videos after the game.
Google me.
Yeah. Look at my Wikipedia page.
Oh, see, this is why we do the live stream. Just find out things that we didn't know, get to answer these questions, get really in depth and completely different. This is talking about more money now, obviously. If you want the women's game to
Yeah,
change,
more
that is
money.
the
If
number
you
one.
wanna pay
And
us more money,
I
I'll
agree. I am wholeheartedly with you on that. All right, under 5 minutes to go. 1-0 USA still over Canada. Shots 9-3. And we'll start with you, Madison, here a little bit on the game. When you look at it from the U.S. standpoint, this is exactly what they do. They suffocate the other team, and they don't let you generate anything and any shots on net, no matter how talented that your roster may be.
Yeah, and I think some of it is Canada feeling it out a little bit. I think obviously the US was able to execute, or not execute, they didn't score, but they got a chance at the power play. Canada doesn't have Poulin out there. So a little bit of the first 20 minutes, honestly, it could have been worse with the way that the US has been moving the puck lately. But I mean, 10 shots on net almost in the first period. They're undoubtedly going to finish the first period with 10 shots. Like, that's a great first period from the US. But it could have been worse for Canada, in my opinion. So still time, though.
Good point.
Yeah, we didn't do our wager yet. I wanted to wager before the game started. I was going to bet Ann-Sophie a snow roll and a t-shirt and shorts.
Oh, that would have been good. That would have been great.
That's too bad.
Still can do it. Will Canada get over 2.5 goals in this hockey game?
Yeah, like Canada needs to be able to like get inside the defense and shots from better, not from the outside. I mean, that's the US are so strong that it's hard to like get through, and I think Canada's right now is defending themselves and they're trying, but US they're so fast. They're all over. Like they seem to be first on pucks, and like second quick is usually like the US player that's there, and that's why the shots are 9-4.
I will say, though, I think the one battle that Canada already has won on paper is the goaltending battle. So that'll be interesting. Like, I think that I played with Ann Renee at Wisconsin. She's either on or she's off, but she's also like very dialed. So if and when it comes down to the wire, when she knows her team is going to be relying on her, like I can't think of many goalies. Maybe Lacasse, who's also Canadian, but those two are probably two of the best goalies I've ever played with or against. And I think that Canada has the goalie battle won. So that's all you have to do is score one goal to win a game.
But that's the problem. Like the goalie won't be able to score goals.
Soon as you say that, Madison, we get our second goal of the game
Ooh.
as the Americans once again strike on Canada. It is number 23 for the United States, just getting in on the score sheet. That is...
What a great pass from Abby Murphy.
Hannah Bilka again. Couple
And from
youngsters.
Harvey.
Couple youngsters
That was-
combining for a goal there for the Americans.
Wait, guys, I think your Canadian stream is ahead of my US feed. But
The only thing that's ahead
Wow.
Are
right
you
now.
live?
yeah, I'm live. Crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's live. But that's like a textbook setup. Layers. I wish the kids I coach could do that.
Show them video.
Yeah, right?
But
This
there's
is
been
what
a
it's
cou-
supposed to look like.
There's really been a couple of goals like that, though, for the Americans. Defense coming all the way down along the boards, and the two forwards going straight to the net, or even a defense woman going straight to the net, and it ends up right in the back of the net, no problem at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 2 U.S. players almost all by themselves in front of the net.
That Abby Murphy move is illegal.
That was a nice backing pass.
All right, let's get to our first guest of the day. He's a guy that coaches or hosts a show here on the Daily Faceoff Network called Morning Cup of Hockey. You see him everywhere. Played at the collegiate level. Also, I think was coached by Madison Packer here at some point. Our boy wearing the USA hockey hat, Johnny Lazarus. Johnny, thanks so much for joining us. What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's up? What's up? What's up, coach? That little goal horn ruined the game for me. It happened like 5 seconds before I saw the goal. That was a spoiler.
Yeah, you dealt me my only loss to Canada.
Yeah, that's my bad. Hey, I had my guy.
In fairness, it wasn't his fault. Swaggy P wouldn't back check. Yeah.
I was the only one who didn't go in the shootout. Only guy.
Coaching,
I would've scored.
coaching error.
Johnny, what's going on? How have you been enjoying these games so far? Getting ready for the men's stuff. Obviously, it's going to start later this week, but the women's games have been awesome so
Yeah.
far.
I mean, the U.S. women's games have been a breeze. I can't honestly say I've watched the Canadian games, but the U.S. women are making us pretty proud so far. This was the game that obviously everyone thought would be the biggest challenge, but no Poulin. Like, I feel like that's kind of taken a hit to the Canadian women. And obviously, I don't know as many of the Canadians as I do the Americans, but I imagine going into this game without, the like the best woman hockey player ever would be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it's been tough for Canada. I think the way that the Americans play also as well. Like, they're suffocating. They're tough to play against. Madison and Ann-Sophie have been talking about it for so long. But I think the games in general, like just the pride, the camaraderie, and everything going to it. Players at the Olympics. Obviously, the women's game has been in the Olympics and continued to be for quite some time. But it's going to be exciting here over the next couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, listen, the women have honestly had so much spotlight because of this rivalry over the last few years without the men in the Olympics. But I feel like having, both men and women together, like even the men supporting the women there, like that goes such a long way physically being there. Obviously it's been 12 years since the men have been there. So I've actually probably watched more women hockey Olympic games than I have watched men over the last at least 5 or 6 years. Because at Mercyhurst, we had a lot of women players in the Olympics. There's actually one there right now for Finland that I know from college, Emma Newton, and she's unreal. Like, I watched her bully so many women in college. So I felt more close to it when I transferred to Mercyhurst because our women's team was like a top 10 team in the country for the most part when I was there. But in the earlier years, I don't, to be honest, I don't remember watching a ton of women's hockey growing up. But over these last 10 years, I've gotten really familiar with the women's game and getting to meet people like Madison. And so I've never met you, so it's nice to meet you face to face for the first time. But
I
yeah,
agree.
it's been
You
pretty
seem
cool.
like a nice guy.
Thank you. I try to be.
He's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, don't let that
Hopefully
pretty smile.
hopefully
Don't
a
let that
better
pretty
guy than I am
smile
a
fool
hockey
you.
player. Yeah. Well, honestly, I heard you talking about women wearing the half shields, and my front 4 teeth are fake. I got a pucking junior, so I can tell you firsthand how much it sucks. But I would love to see the women.
Guy
wearing
with the
half shield.
junior's mask.
I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
And then you had to go to college
I would
and
love
wear
to
a
see it.
face mask with your fake teeth.
So dumb.
Right?
I know. Yeah, but I think the college game might lean toward making guys wear a visor in the future. I feel like we'll see that change. Because now it's like somewhat pro if guys are making money. It's
So it's
changed a
NIL.
lot.
The NIL
So
deals change everything.
I
Yeah, they
could
wanna
see it
see
in
your
5
face.
years being a thing. Yeah. Yeah. I could see it in 5 years with college players, maybe even less than 5 years with college players wearing half shields. But there's no part of you that would want to wear one, like just for even for the
I
look.
said the money. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're willing to pay me enough to get my tooth knocked out, but a woman missing teeth, like, right? Because you can't. Here's a thing that most people don't know. It's ill-advised to get them fixed until you're done playing, right? Because it's like a post that goes into your skull. It's like a whole process. So you can either wear like a retainer with teeth on them that most people lose at every time they go out to eat, or you just walk around with no teeth. And a woman missing their front teeth is a very different look than a man missing their front teeth. So either we change society, or you know what I mean. We got to meet somewhere in the middle, boys.
You know, I'd rather play with a skirt. I'd rather play with a skirt than a half eyes.
I think we
I'd rather wear the half shield.
Rather wear the half shield. There we go. Interesting question.
No money, Madison. No money.
That's true.
Not wearing a skirt for no money either. Let's be clear.
Yeah, but what if you lose your tooth? Then that's tough.
I think we can all come to a consensus in this conversation that it's more money, more money, more money.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
There's a question that came in, and Johnny, it'd been interesting to get your take on it, and yours as well, and Madison. The growth of the women's league in the PWHL has been unbelievable. Obviously, here in Vancouver with the Golden Eyes, their games are sold out almost each and every night. It's been so awesome here. Where do you think expansion should go next? Someone in one of our chats said Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm interested to hear where you guys think would be a really good hockey market for the PWHL. Oh, we got Pete Blackburn on now. I think he kicked Johnny off.
Oh, my bad. What's up? How are we?
That's okay.
Adios, Johnny.
Sorry, Johnny.
Is that last?
Mid-question.
Yeah, you kicked Laz off. Maybe, or if just let Johnny know to come back on, then we'll get. There we go, and Pete will come back on after.
Yeah, Pete's coming on after.
Cool. Did the whole thing freeze, or did I just?
No. Pete just kicked you off. We had Pete Blackburn joining, but it was the same length.
Oh, okay.
You got benched for a second there.
Give me 10 minutes, Pete. Jeez. What was the question? Expansion?
The question, expansion of the PWHL. Yeah. What city or what market do you think would be great for it?
I'll say Chicago.
Detroit.
Why you're from there, right, Madison?
Well, that doesn't matter.
Well, yeah.
Okay, but why?
Chicago. Well, again, I think big city, big market, big sports market. They don't have like a college team per se, right? Like the closest women's college team, I think, is probably Wisconsin to the Chicago area. So you got to drive like 2 hours to go watch women's hockey for the most part. They're building a brand new practice facility, the Chicago Steel and the Blackhawks and the USHL, which is cool if they don't want to play games in the United Center, which I think they should. But the United Center, obviously, again, is one of the best arenas in the NHL. So Chicago, to me, just makes the most sense. Big city. There's no women's hockey necessarily close to the area. And you have a huge NHL market there in the Blackhawks. Like, why not go to Chicago? Doesn't seem like there's any
Yeah.
And why Detroit?
disagreement there.
Why Detroit other than you being from there?
I disagree because I think that WNBA is putting a team in Detroit. They're putting a team in Toronto. It's a good travel hub for getting anywhere and everywhere. Chicago, I get, but like they're on an island. Although I think they would do well because the Badgers do well. I feel you on that. Like when they had the juniors team there, the juniors team did really well. And in Detroit, they would have to compete, but they've done well every time they've done a takeover tour game there. And I think that there's enough youth hockey in the area, and I think that University of Michigan's going to get a team. Then there's a natural pipeline. Little Caesars, University of Michigan, stay in Detroit and play. It's very close to Toronto, so I think that U of M will get more Canadian players that want to come play there. Just a whole pipeline.
And so
the only way I could see them not doing it is if because the league is not willing to sell teams. And I think the Illiches would or whomever, but I assume the Illiches because they own Little Caesars Arena. Whoever owns the team.
I like to see like on the Canadian market, like Halifax, they've had a good takeover tour. Like there's 2 games there this year, and like the fans are willing to go. I think it's a good city, and I liked Hamilton too. I mean, yeah, it's close to Toronto, but when they did that takeover tour, they had that ring, they had that logo on the ice, like it was packed house, and I think it's to create that rivalry, and then close distance, just like Vancouver and Seattle. It's like a 3-hour drive. So it's like to create those small, close markets. And I'd like to see like Hamilton and Halifax in the Canadian side.
I agree with you on that. Someone in the chat keeps saying Raleigh. I've only ever been to a Hurricanes game there, and they've been pretty good, the outdoor games there. And I don't know if, Johnny, if you've been to anything else other than just watching, Hurricanes or anything like that out in Raleigh, but it seems like that's a city that could do pretty well as well. It's a big college town as well in that North Carolina area.
Yeah, and youth hockey's grown a lot too. I actually played in 2009. Our nationals was in Raleigh, which was pretty cool. So youth hockey, both guys and girls, was there in 09, which was like, I think that was the first time I ever went. But I haven't been to Raleigh a ton. But it is a great sports town. What's cool is like NC State's football stadium is right across from the Lenovo Center. So like there's a lot of camaraderie there. Like the Hurricanes fans all tailgate and stuff, and that'd be fun to tailgate for a women's game. Those games are. Do the women's pro play like earlier in the day typically, or are they mostly night games? Because I know college, it's like always during the day, right? That's
Kind
usually
of
because they share
depends.
the
Their
ice with the
schedule's
men's.
yeah, it
Yeah.
depends. If they're doing a doubleheader, but it depends. They're usually 12, 2, or 7.
What do you prefer? I know a lot of the women I've talked to that got used to the day games in college hate the night games.
Yeah, I would rather play at like 2 or 3
Mhm.
than play
I
at
like
And
the
any
night
reason
games. I don't
why?
mind them.
I feel like there's more of a build-up for
I don't know,
night
I-
games, though.
I don't
The
know.
day's
Yeah,
so
I
long
think
though.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I felt that way more at the end of my career after I had kids. Like the day was long, and then like my routine was harder when we had a night game with kids. So I think I like adapted to liking the day game a little bit better.
Johnny, Marie-Philippe Poulin told Madison that she couldn't skate. What's the best chirp that you've ever had, that you've ever received? Sorry, I'm not letting that go. I think it's the funniest thing ever. That's awesome.
You
Yeah.
can't even skate.
Um.
That's what she said. You can't even skate.
Yeah, that's tough. I didn't get chirped a lot, honestly. Nothing that
Okay,
really
big
stands
guy.
out.
Yeah,
No,
this guy.
honestly, no. It's because I wasn't good enough to get chirped. Like I just didn't get chirped. Like I don't know. I never really. I was too nice. Like I never pissed anyone off. Like I don't know. I was just kind of out there having fun. Like I don't think I really.
Probably like your helmet's too shiny. You haven't played all that much.
Well, actually, when I had no front teeth, I got chirped for that all the time. I got chirped for that. Like obviously, go find a dentist. Like that was the easy one. But like nothing that really pissed me off. If anything, the worst I got it was from my own coaches. So
It's always good.
that's a different story. But yeah, I can't. But I used to always say like stupid stuff. Like I would go like I remember I told like I would slam their cabinets in their home to like keep their parents up at night. Like just say stupid shit to like kind of throw them off and be like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like just stupid things that no one would have a response to. Like that was the kind of stuff that I would say.
Because they just don't realize that someone could actually think of something to
it's
say
like-
that. Yeah,
it's like,
that's
what are
Johnny.
you talking about? Yeah. Like what are you talking about? But yeah, I wasn't really I mean it should be anyone who knows me knows I'm not very mean. So I didn't really have that mean part of my game. Which is why I didn't make the NHL, obviously.
Well, you being so kind has helped us through these last 6 minutes of this show. So we appreciate you taking the time, Johnny, out of your day to do this. And I'm sure as we get through the tournament, we're gonna have a live stream again for one of the medal round games. We'll get you back on and talk about the women's game and the growth of it again. But thanks for joining us, Johnny.
happy to.
Appreciate it.
This is the last
Thank you,
prelim
Johnny.
game, right?
Last
to meet you
prelim
too.
game for USA. Canada still
For
has
the
to
US,
play.
yeah.
It's one that was postponed on Thursday.
And is there an
Against
update
Finland.
on Marie-Philippe Poulin when she'll be back, or is she done?
Day to day is what the message was from Hockey Canada, the Canadian Olympic Committee.
Wow. And Calty's so nice too. She's a good one. That's tough. But all right, nice to meet you, Anso, and Coach Pat. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Irf, thanks for having me. Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah.
Hi.
It's Johnny Lazarus. There's a lot of stuff here on the Nation Network as well as everywhere else, but always interesting. I really like that expansion talk. So thank you to the person in the YouTube chat that suggested it. They said DC broke attendance records as well for for WHL one-off games out in DC. But just goes to show you, I mean, the more eyeballs on the game, and we talk about money and things like that, is obviously better for the growth of the sport. Is it not, Anso?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. And like the league, like the CBA was signed for 8 years. And I think that's the gap that they try to develop. And, they want to grow rapidly with, already like expansion last year, or actually this year, and then, 2 to 4 teams next year. And I think that's what they want, to get to 12 teams as quickly as possible, and then, grow the game. And, if we look at the growth of the women's sport in Quebec here, it's been crazy, like incredible in the last 10 years. And we look at minor hockey, just like the AA and the AAA, the quality that we have, like in terms of the the girls that are coming out of high school to CJEP to university. And I think it's just a matter of building and keeping, teaching them and giving back. And I coach a high school team, and it's like a sport études, so they play, during their school period. They have hockey, and I've been doing this for 10 years now, and like it's crazy the growth that they have from, grade 7 till all the way till they finish their high school. And that's what we like to see. As a coach, it's like, okay, we give back, they're receptive for feedback, but they're getting better. And I remember this one, the first time she stepped on the ice, I was like, oh boy. It was right at the beginning of the program, and I was like, oh, where is this program going to go? And now she's playing for the University of Concordia. She's a defenseman, and she's like looking for to be like the top defender of the year. She plays on the power play, she plays on the PK, she plays 5-on-5, and it's like, like all the efforts that as coaches we've put in, we see good results. And so I think it's just a matter of like continuing, and now that there's a dream of, playing professionally. Before we didn't have that. It was only, okay, my dream is to get to the Olympics or play for Team Canada. Now we could have, okay, well, I want to play for the Victoire. I want to play for, the Golden Eyes, the Seattle Torrent. Like, so there's dreams that are building, and I think it's just a matter of building blocks for the next generation. But, if I look really at the growth just in the last 10 years, it's just been exponential.
Let's get to our next guest that's going to join the show. Good friend, Pete Blackburn, one of the co-hosts of What Chaos. Does a lot of other stuff. I've known Pete for quite some time now, covering Cup finals and other things. Pete, how are you with your USA hockey, or what is that? It's a hockey jersey on. What's going on?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going good. After a period, we're feeling pretty good over here. That's for sure.
It's crazy, and so obviously played nationally for the Canadian team. Madison Packer, I think she left. She'll be back very shortly. Member of international U.S. at the U18 level, but this American team, Pete, is wildly talented, top to bottom. They don't give teams much. Won the last 6 against Canada, and they continue just to roll in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive. I mean, you started to see some of the next wave of stars emerge through the PWHL in college, and it's fun to get to see them, sort of flex here at the Olympic stage. And I think that the U.S.-Canada rivalry has always been really like the height of women's hockey in my mind. So like this is really exciting, and then being able to see just kind of it on the biggest stage with the NHL players there as well, getting more attention to it. Like I think that hockey fans are in a really, really good place, and the game's in a really good place on the international stage right now.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch for this American team, and I want to get to the conversation that we were talking about with Johnny as well, and Madison before you jumped on. You're a guy that travels a lot. You've been to a lot of events and games. Good expansion city for a PWHL team. Like what market do you think? Because okay, so another thing to take into consideration is if the league's not going to give up ownership to these teams, right? So if the league's going to put a team into a city, what city do you think it should go to? People in the chat are losing their mind over Raleigh.
I mean, I think that like a sneaky great city for hockey in the NHL that has been proven over the last couple decades, Columbus. Like Columbus is an unbelievable city that is really, really loyal to its sports teams for better and for worse. and like they show up for the Blue Jackets night in, night out. And like over the past few decades, they haven't had a ton of reason to continue showing that loyalty. So I would like to see Columbus kind of be expanded upon as like this great city for sports that's sort of a hidden gem kind of rising the ranks.
Columbus is good. Columbus is a very good sports city too. We got the college level
Yeah.
there, obviously Ohio State and everything like that. Turning back our attention to the Olympics a little bit, other than U.S. hockey, what's been a standout performance so far of these games for you?
From outside of hockey, it's got to be the quad god for me. Like the quad god is just like this wild gravitational pull that like it is, there's always like one or two athletes that like kind of captivates the entire sports scene and you don't hear them. Like I'm not a figure skating fan. Like I don't pay attention to it outside of the few weeks where it's at the Olympics. But I started hearing about this guy like over the weekend and people were like, have you heard about this guy? Have you seen what he's able to do? And like, just, I feel like everybody in my life has talked to me about the quad god at this point in time. And I did get to check him out over the weekend and it's just like unreal. It's like, even as somebody who's just helicoptering in and dropping in on figure skating and doesn't know what's great and what's not, like you can tell that he's on a different level. And there's the announcers being like, well, he was like at 50%, 75%, and he's still that much better than everybody else. So I'm very excited to see what he's able to do while kind of leaving it all out there in sort of the individual events this week.
And so when you look at it, if you followed these games at all, other than the hockey, I know we've been so busy with the hockey, but what's something that stands out to you about these games so far?
I mean,
Honestly,
for
I
me, it's
haven't
like
been able to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no,
No,
for me
no.
it's like
All you.
this Lindsey Vonn story. It's kind of, like the fact she's coming out of retirement, she has a torn ACL, goes and it's okay to just the way she responded. Obviously, like she has a fractured leg, but just the way she responded to the injury, and you train so hard to get to the Olympic Games, and then just the fact that she was able to like get get there with the torn ACL, and then let alone just getting that response that she did have. I mean, that's just a true character to an athlete, and for me, like right now, is like that's a story that that stood out to me.
Final one before we let you go. Second period just starting. Pete, who would win an on-ice fight between you and Johnny? Someone asked in the chat. I didn't. I'm taking
It's
you.
got to be Johnny.
What?
Yeah, it's got to be Johnny. I think on solid ground, I could take Johnny, but on ice, he's got better skating skills. His balance is way better. I think he could take me there.
Appreciate you, brother. Pete Blackburn, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We'll get you down further along the road. We're going to have semifinal live streams, gold medal game live streams, and we'll be everywhere doing all sorts of things as well. So thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Appreciate it.
All right, and so we've got the second period now underway. U.S. leading Canada 2-0. Shots 11-4. What's the message from Troy Ryan in that intermission?
It's sticking to the process again. Like I feel I'm just repeating myself, but I feel that's what they're gonna have to do, and getting shots on net. I mean, with only 4 shots, that's not how you're gonna be able to score a lot of goals. So trying to every chance that you have, rushing the net, putting pressure, putting everything on net, and just keeping things simple. Sometimes you might need a garbage goal, and that's what I feel it's gonna take. And again, generating offense. Like I just saw Renata Fast entering the zone with Laura Stacy. That's what you need. Defender skating the puck, and she's fast, so she needs to be able to use her speed and use her shot to be able to contribute offensively.
Unfortunately, as we were speaking, Canada just took another penalty very early, 58 seconds into the period. So U.S. off to the power play one more time. I just talked about messaging from Troy Ryan to his group. So if you're Robo coach, what are you saying to your group after that first period?
I think just more of the same. I think that I'm happy with what I've seen so far. Obviously, you just saw Murphy get clipped there. Don't love that.
No.
I do love Sarah Fillier, though. I think she plays with a real chip on her shoulder. She's just a gritty. I didn't see the hit here. It looks like maybe she blindside clipped Murphy, at least from the way that Murphy responded there. But I think that Canada needs to step it up a little bit. I think that the U.S. is probably prepared for that. I think that they go in the locker room and the message from the coaches, they're going to throw everything at us. This is a game that means a lot to them. They have a lot to prove. They've also got, again, speculating on Poulin's health, but if she's hurt, then someone's looking for a spot in the lineup. So there's Murphy getting clipped there.
Yeah, kind of look definitely blindside for sure. Murphy didn't see her at all. It's going to be interesting what they decide to review here. The WHF and the way that the game is called there is a lot different than it is, obviously, in North America. So we'll see if this is anything more than just a minor penalty. That could be curtains for Canada. Affiliate is going to end up missing the rest of the game here.
The only
That would
thing
be a
I can
huge
see,
loss.
I don't know if you guys can see better than me, but where's I was going to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I was going to say, I don't know where Fillier is looking. Obviously, her head is turned to the left, but is she looking at Murphy, or are they both looking over at the puck, right? Like, I think, and so we both have been in situations where, like, where you can blindside someone like that, and then also, like, you're like, it's like a oh crap moment where you accidentally do, and it's just like, you both don't really see each other.
Yeah.
It was just a 2-minute for interference, so good, lucky for Canada. U.S. off to the power play now. But yeah, like you said, I mean, there's one of those situations where you're kind of looking at the puck and someone runs into you, and unfortunately, it's a blindside, Anso.
Yeah, luckily for Canada though, it's only 2 minutes because losing Fillier and not having Poulin in the lineup, that'd be really tough for the Canadian team.
I think that's the right call too. Like, I don't think it's in Fillier's character. Obviously, the refs don't have that context, but when you see her looking that way, like, I think she's looking at the play, and it's just someone's going to lose that battle.
All right, USA still on the power play.
We have a really good question here from Leanne C in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually not really a question. It's a comment. And Leanne says, I always wanted Bettez on Team Canada for the Olympics. Made a big fuss over her on Twitter. Canada's loss, I thought.
You good fans.
Hey.
That's nice. Thanks, Leanne. I mean,
Because she can skate.
Okay, Madison, I'll teach you how to skate. You can teach me how to chirp. No, it's like, and my story is a little different. I mean, I think it's I came onto the national program like 9 or 10 years after I did my first experience at the junior level, and when you're so passionate with the sport, then it's just like you play not like yeah. When you're young, you play to go to the Olympics. You're like, that's my goal, that's my dream, and then you get invited to the national team camp, and then it's like, whoa, okay, Carolyn Willett, Haley Wickenheiser, all those girls that I was watching when I was a kid, they're like sitting next to me on the bench, and literally, like, my first experience is like I choke, like that's pretty much what it was. But I gained confidence only once I graduated from university, and that's what was hard for me, is because once I knew I was playing with players that went to the Olympics and against those players in the CWHL at the time, it's like, well, now I have a tryout, and you can't just apply and say, oh, I'll send my invitation, I'm ready now. And I was lucky enough that they were able to contact, like, to get in touch with me and be like, okay, well, what would you say coming back on the national team program? And those rivalry series happened pretty much at the same time, and that's when I made my debut with the national team. And like, with the pandemic, that's pretty much what kind of like screwed me over, because World Championship was supposed to be in March, and then they got postponed in August, but then they had to announce their centralized roster at the beginning of August. So, like, I wish I just had, one more chance in March to the championship, but I never had that chance. But, like, all in all, like, I'm very, like, thankful to be able to win. Like, I did go to the World Championship, and that was a great experience for me. But, definitely going to the Olympics would have been one of my goals. But, it's part of life, and yeah. But thank you for your comment.
Yeah, thank you to all the comments. Any comments, questions, whatever you want to know from Madison or Ann-So, just throw it in the chat. We'll try and get to as many as possible. 3-0 now for the United States over Canada.
Yes.
Power play goal that was scored by Kirsten Sims. And crashing to the net, getting to the net in the hard places. That puck was never covered by the Canadian goalkeeper, and it ends up in the back of the net. Coach is now challenging for goaltender interference on this. So it's just getting wild there. It's getting wild there. You think it's a bad challenge?
Oh yeah, I was watching. So now the refresh worked. Now I'm caught back up with you guys. It's O'Neill pushes Sims into the goalie. So watch, Sims pushes, but that's fair game. Like they're going to show this a bunch more times. I think that Sims' initial push of the goalie is fair game because the puck's in the crease and she's using her stick, and then O'Neill comes in from behind Sims and pushes her into Fabian, and then that's how the puck goes in. O'Neill pushes the puck in, like on the player pile.
And the puck's never covered. You can see it clear as day. It's one of those things that's so scrambly, bang, bang, but goalie interference, like, are we really going to know how it's going to be called? I guess we're gonna find out and see. And so what do you think about this one?
Well, I'm just trying to see the replay right here.
Yeah, see, she never touches her head. She never, and that's her stick between her foot and the puck. So she's using her stick, and then O'Neill hits her from behind.
But yeah, it seems like, O'Neill is pushing Sims in the net.
Otherwise, Sims' forward momentum would take her through that lane into no, although she's turning there. But.
I agree with you. I don't think this is going to be a long challenge at all. In fact, it actually isn't. Let's see what they decide to call here. All right, looks like it's going to continue to be a goal for USA. So it's 3-0.
And now, is it a penalty now? Or no?
I don't think it's a... I think it is a penalty if you lose a challenge. It still should be an international rules.
Delayed game.
Yeah. Yeah, coach's challenge unsuccessful. It is a penalty for Canada. 3-0 USA with a chance to. If this game already isn't iced, ice it really right now for good. Canada, you're on your heels here. Unfortunate challenge, but you didn't like the challenge. And so is that a challenge you have to throw if you're Troy Ryan?
At this point, what do you have to lose, right?
Yeah.
It could make a big difference, a 2-0 game or a 3-0 game. I mean, trying to put all the chances on his side, and I think he tried.
I understand the play from O'Neill, so I don't want to be overly critical. Like, I understand the play and trying to get back. But I think if O'Neill had not made that contact, it probably would have been a valid challenge for goaltending interference, because I think it probably would have still gone in. From my first look at it, I wasn't quite sure, but then we saw it a few more times. I think it probably still would have gone in, and she would have made contact. But it was O'Neill's continuing of that momentum that made impact, right? I think that's what solidified that the defender pushed her into the goalie. But I think that either way, that contact would have been made. So if that hadn't happened, right?
I think secretly he knew. Secretly he knew it was a good goal, but he tried.
Yeah.
That's my thought, I think.
Hey, Kirsten Sims, Badger, University of Wisconsin.
A lot of them.
Whole lot of Badgers. Yeah. 3-0 USA over Canada right now. 3 minutes gone, almost in the second period. All right, well, you look at it this way from this point of view. I mean, it is a prelim round game. Obviously, the rivalry series and this, that, and everything between these two teams. You're without Marie-Philippe Poulin. They keep showing her on the broadcast here, so she's obviously upset and wants to be out there. And so for the rest of this game, you still have 37 minutes of hockey that needs to be played. If you're Canada, how do you not let this one completely get away?
Well, I think it's just not playing to the score anymore. It's just, I mean, we all know 3 goals is a big gap, and especially playing against the U.S. I mean, everything's possible. I'm going to say it that way, but I'm not going to say that they're going to make it come back. But what you want is basically, you know, finish this game the way you want to start your next one. And we know the next one is against Finland, but, you know, moving forward is just like kind of forget. But, you know, at the end of the day, they only have 5 shots on goal. And to me, like, that's tough. You need to be able to generate more offense, but again, as we mentioned, it's just a matter of doing the little details right. Whether it is crossing, getting the puck out of the zone, you know, not creating turnovers at the blue line, just getting back to those small details and not necessarily playing to the scoreboard anymore.
Three 0 Canada over the U.S. right now. Keep repeating the score. Shot 16-5. Madison, I feel like the U.S., a part of its game plan is to never lose control of hockey games. Even if you feel like they're on their heels in situations, it doesn't take very long before they're back up and running or doing what they need to do to get better and continue to dominate in these hockey games. Has that kind of been the game plan? Because in this one, it's been all USA from the entirety of this hockey game from the get-go.
Yeah, and I mean, also, I mean, think about the depth of your hockey team when Kristen Sims is on your 4th line, Kendall Coyne is on your 3rd line, Taylor Heisey is on your 2nd. I mean, that's depth that's just tough to compete with. So I think that they have confidence in their lineup from top down, and that helps them obviously when they get into critical situations, when they get into situations where XYZ is tired, they have a lot of flexibility with their power play. So I just think that they have. It's tough to compete when you have that many weapons in your arsenal, and I think that the blend of young and experienced is going to pay off for them in the stretch of the tournament.
It's that mix, right, of the veterans and the youth and bringing players that play at the collegiate level, and then obviously PWHL players, whereas Canada, you know, it's every player from and plays and competes in the PWHL. So just that experience alone, I think, is great for the Americans and being able to have that as well. But you look at, I think we're going to introduce someone right now, writes for the Hockey News, Pat LaPrade. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong, but pleased to have you join us. I think it's going to be fantastic to hear your take on the women's game and what you've been seeing and what you've been liking so far throughout this competition.
Oh, well, we had him, and we'll try and get him reconnected here.
We'll try and get Pat reconnected here. Okay, let's definitely do that. Let's try and get me reconnected here as well. To this stream.
Must be the French.
Must be the French.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Pat, what's up?
Hey. You were close on my last name, by the way. It's Prad. So you were close enough. You can't hear me.
Irf, can you hear him?
I can't hear you, Ann.
And
Or Irf can't hear us.
I can hear both of you.
Yeah, it's just Irf.
It's gonna be. Don't worry. It's a live
there
show.
you go.
Somehow things happen.
Oh, there he is.
I'll get back in it. I will get back in it. It'll be all good here in a second.
There he is. There he is.
The beauty of live streaming. Things go wrong. It happens. You gotta roll with the punches here.
Exactly.
Pat, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time. How are you, my friend?
Very good. Very good. Not surprised of what I'm seeing on my TV screen, though.
Okay, here, let me ask you this. Why aren't you surprised?
Because it's the same team that lost 4 games at Rivalry Series. A lot of people are talking about 2002 and want to compare it to what is happening right now. But you got to remember, in 2002, Daniel Sauvageau shook the team by cutting Nancy Drolet and bringing in Sherry Piper. And I remember talking to a bunch of players from that team years later, and they were like, we were in shock that decision was taken late in the process. And this year, nobody shook nothing. They took players from the same pool of players. They went with the Rivalry Series, and at the end of the day, it's basically the same team. It's an older version of Team Canada that is that couldn't compete with the US during the rivalry series. And look, 17 shots against 5, 3-0. Not so, exactly what I was expecting. I mean, if you
I
go,
love French
you know,
people.
you know the definition. You know the definition of a crazy is doing the same thing over and over, thinking that the result will be different. Well, that's exactly what Canada has been doing, and the result is not this is exactly the same.
All right. Well, when you think about it from the American point of view, we understand the Canadian point of view. Actually, let's get to this first. You mentioned it's the same team. They've been doing the same thing and everything like that. But how big of a loss do you think it was for that room to not have Marie-Philippe Poulin in it for this game?
Oh, it's a huge loss. There's no doubt about that. But I was expecting that kind of result with Marie-Philippe Poulin in the lineup. So I mean, without Marie-Philippe, it's even worse. And I don't want to discredit the U.S. team. This U.S. team is so strong. I just tweeted about, just the young stars on the team. 4 of them will probably be the first top picks at the next, PWHL draft. 5 among, the best 7. You have Jordan, who's probably going to be the first overall in 2027. And they didn't even bring in Lacey Aiden and Casey O'Brien. Geez, this team is scary for years to come. And I don't see how Canada will be able to compete with them for a number of years. And I know I'm from Canada, I should support them, and I do support them. But, facts are facts. And, I mean, you can expect this Canadian team to actually beat, the U.S. team the way they're playing right now.
I think we've indirectly said it since the first day of competition here. And we've kind of looked at, I don't know if you two agree, Anso and Madison, that the way this U.S. team is built and the way the Canadian team is built, even though they won their first game 4-0, you look at it, Anso, and we sit here and said that they had 53 shots, but 3 of them were power play goals. And still they weren't able to win and kind of get that offense and keep this train going.
Yeah, and that's what the problem is. Canada is struggling scoring goals, and with only 5 or 6 shots, like, you can't expect to have 3 goals against the American. And now the power play, well, the US have been disciplined, so also without Poulin, then you're losing offensive threat. So I would like to see a bit more shots, like just getting back to the basics. Not forget about scoring goals for this game. Just get pucks on net. You need to at least have a few shots to be able to move forward and move on and building blocks for the next game. And it's just they seem overwhelmed. That's what it feels like. And we'd mentioned we weren't satisfied with when we talked about it, we're like, yeah, okay, Canada won for nothing, but like secretly, like, we weren't satisfied of their performance because three three power play goals, only 1 in 5-on-5, and that was the 4th goal. So here, like, you'll have to give more from everybody, And now again, we have a penalty here for Canada. And then, like, I didn't see the penalty. I just see O'Neill in the box. Again, that's one of the main penalty killer. So that's tough for Canada, where they're taking penalties. The U.S. power play is so good, and even if they don't score on the power play, they gain momentum. And so it's a really tough space for Canada to be able to win. And again, so 17-7 the shots. Yeah.
Yeah. Madison, I want to ask you this before I get to you, Pat. What has surprised you the most in this tournament about this American team? Or has there been anything that has stood out to you that's been different kind of as they've gone through this tournament or even before it?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say surprise, but a little bit. I think the composure. I think that when you look at some of the players on their roster and their tendency to be gritty, and like I use the term sandpaper, which I then understood that maybe, or I then realized that maybe not everyone understood. Like, they just play like a gritty game. Like, they've got these young guns that play gritty. Britta Kurossalemi, she's still young. Like, these players, they play hard. They have a power forward style play, but their skill level is just so elevated. And so you then insert these players into a high energy, high pressure environment. And although Murphy had a penalty today, like, they haven't been taking penalties in the way they have in the past. They aren't buckling, in the moments where they may have been seen to set a fuse, et cetera, in the past. So I think that they are recognizing the moment and recognizing that their job is to bait and switch a little bit almost, and try to get the emotions of their opponent high and use that to their advantage.
That defensive group, the defense players of the U.S. team. I mean, so young, so talented. Ailey Wynn and Rory Gildy, two of the best rookies this year in the PWHL, plus Caroline Harvey and Layla Edwards, who will probably be two of the best rookies next year in the PWHL. I mean, that's just insane when you think of it, And I'm not even talking about Megan Keller here, who's it's
yeah,
crazy.
And Edwards plays forward at Wisconsin.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No,
compared to who Canada has on their blue line.
Well, I mean, they brought Justin.
I can be honest. I'm American.
I can be honest too. I'm French Canadian, so they brought Jocelyn Larocque, which I mean, in the first period, at one point, the puck was in the ozone for the American, and Larocque, it was going so fast for her. She was looking left, looking right. The puck was moving so faster than she could. It was just it was the main reason I didn't understand that pick from Troy Ryan and Jenna Kingsbury. I mean, the team is not as fast as the Americans are, and they didn't improve that at all. Perhaps the only addition was Katie Tabin, but who's fast defense players. But aside from that, I mean, there were a lot of questionable picks for Canada, and I saw a comment just a few moments ago. A listener said, Canada shouldn't be about one player. And that's the thing people won't understand. Canada is not losing this game because Marie-Philippe Poulin isn't there. They're losing this game because they're not as good as the U.S. Perhaps it would have be a little closer in shots. Perhaps maybe Canada would have one goal. We don't know. But Marie-Philippe Poulin was in the rivalry series, and the team got outshot, outscored, and outplayed.
They've won the last 6 games, has the U.S. over Canada at competitions. And look, the torch, the baton, whatever it is, it's now the American game, especially the women's game, has grown and, dare I say, surpassing Team Canada for years to come because of a lot of the things that you just mentioned, the similar ways that the Canadian players and Canadians have designed their teams, the way that, the program is. And you just look at the depth and what, the U.S. team is doing. You mentioned the 2 rookies on defense and the other 2 rookies that are coming in. It's just a pipeline of really, really, really good hockey players, and that talent pool just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
I mean, when you look at it, the perhaps the first overall pick in 2027 is already playing in the Olympics for the U.S. team, where, I mean, there's not even one prospect from 2026 from Team Canada who's close of being, part of that team. So, I mean, that says it right there, that the future is on the U.S. side right now.
Madison, maybe you can speak to the growth of the game and obviously the amount of young women and men that are obviously playing the game at the grassroots level right now, and how much infrastructure there's been put into place for these men and women to both go and succeed and obviously reach their dreams of being at the Olympics at such a young age.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of 2 things, right? We've had so many renditions of professional hockey in the US and Canada in the last 15, 20, 30 years. So I think that helps. Johnny touched on it earlier when he was on. Laz was like, I didn't really follow women's hockey, girls hockey. Well, yeah, because you couldn't see it. So I think that, one of the things that the PWHL has done better than anyone prior to them is their investment in marketing and getting things out there, and their investment in production and, what the product that people see, making sure that it's professional, making sure that it's polished, making sure these athletes are in good buildings. So I think that is the biggest thing, is that people don't know about things that they can't see. And so in the US, right, we've slowly increased visibility to something that kids didn't have access to before. 1, 2, the US won a gold medal, right? We saw the same boom in the US when US women's soccer won. So I think that, I coach a local youth team, the Connecticut Junior Rangers. We partner with the New York Rangers. We just had a girls' clinic last weekend. We had the most girls we've ever had for girls try hockey for free. So obviously hockey's is expensive. Like there are lots of barriers to entry for hockey. So I think in my opinion, the NHL does a tremendous job through the NHL Foundation, all their different initiatives to try and make hockey accessible to kids. And that's really where it starts, is like grassroots interest and accessibility, and then trying to slowly eliminate those barriers to entry, which for girls is girls drop out of sports because they get bullied, right? So if we can create environments that are safe for girls, where they feel welcome, where they don't feel judged, or where they have access at the Connecticut Junior Rangers, like our girls have their own training space, their own skating space, their own skills space, so that they feel like they can learn in an environment that's safe and comfortable for them. I think that as research in sport evolves, we'll continue to have those types of things and access to that data come to hockey. I think the WNBA is an industry leader for us to follow and to mirror. But I also think that Canada is an industry leader for hockey, despite a lot of what's going on recently. Like I think that especially their investment in the women's side and just their value for the women's side is important, and I think that we can continue to learn a lot from one another.
The value's definitely there, the investment's there, the infrastructure is there in both these countries. Let's be real. I mean, you look at the way that these players are treated and going to the Olympics and this, that, and the other. But and so just at that level about growing the game in a sense of developing young talent and figuring out who is it and being able to grow with them and have them make it to the Olympics or on under 18s and things like that. Where does Canada need to go from here? Because you have these old players, but a lot of them are going to start getting a little bit older. The Marie-Philippe Poulins of the world aren't going to be around for much longer, and you're going to need someone to try and get Canada over that hump again.
Yeah, I feel like there's not that many players who can push Poulin, who's like, okay, we talk about Fillier, which she's kind of close, but really we don't have that depth that the U.S. is having. And, we look at Team Quebec and they did win, but it's just a matter for us having a bit more girls from Quebec. We had mentioned, Pat and I were talking about it, we're like, how come there's only, Poulin and Renee? And I'm not saying that in other provinces they're not good, but we work so hard here in Quebec to develop those girls. But it feels like we're being not ignored, but there's a goal.
That's 4. Fourth goal for USA over Canada.
Hannah Bilka.
Yeah, Anna Bilka. And again, that Canada just sitting back defensively, not attacking the play, trying to shut down, and Bilka again got shot, lethal. Right? That was a quick release. That thing was top corner before anyone was able to react to that.
That's the strength that they have.
There was a little smack talk there at the end of the clip too.
Yeah, on Bilka on Stacey.
On top of Stacey. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
hey man,
when you beat
beat teams the way you do, you allowed to talk that talk if you're the Americans.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like to come back on what we were talking at, or did you want to say a comment on that, Madison?
No.
Okay. But yeah, so I wish that there would be a mix of youth and experience, just like the U.S. is having, and like we try to keep a lot of the girls here in youth sports, but all the national team and even the PWHL, like there's only 1 or 2 players that are being looked at, and that's tough for the growth here in Quebec. And I'm not saying like the girls from Quebec are the best, but I'm just saying like we work so hard to develop, and I'm not exactly sure on other provinces what they do. I know Ontario, like the amount of players that they have compared to here is almost double. Like they have a bigger pool, so obviously they'll have more players. But all this to say is we all know that most of these girls are going to probably retire, and they're not going to be for the next Olympics. So what's the next generation that we're building? And when we look at the U.S., well, half the team is from NCAA. So even if Knight retires, Carpenter, or even half the team, they'll have at least half of a team that will have experience already, won first cycle of the Olympics. So That's kind of what I'm worried about for for Canada's future, where we need to develop and we need to bring more youth. And as Pat was like to Pat's point, he said like that's the exact same team that they brought almost 4 years ago. So if you're able to compete, I'm fine with that. But right now, that's not what we're currently seeing, and it's just kind of like digging a hole in the future because you're not building, for the next 4 years. And obviously, you want to have the best players right now. You're not planning for 4 years in the future or 8 years in the future. But I think a mix would have been maybe a better alternative.
Yeah, Pat, I was interested in hearing, I wanted to hear the two former players' takes on this because obviously it's a lot different than where you or I see it. So from your standpoint, the way that you look at it in growing the game and developing and figuring out young talent, what needs to change here in Canada to be able to, compete but end up getting past the U.S. in these international competitions now?
Well, if you look at the U.S. team, a lot of players. I mean, Anso said it. Half the player plays in the NCAA. There's a lot of Wisconsin girls over there as well, and I mean, in Canada, the best players are actually leaving the country to play in the NCAA. So I think Canada needs maybe to start thinking about developing more youth sports and both in all provinces and make sure that the elite plays with the elite and find a way to keep those players within the country and make them play together in order maybe to create what we're seeing in the US right now, because it sure helps when there's four players who already plays in the same college right now. So I mean that's something that I'd like youth sports to start seeing differently. And so was saying half the team is from NCAA, but even when you look outside of them, there's Anna Belka, Britta Curl, Zumwinkel, who are pretty young, who are maybe it's their first Olympics. It certainly won't be their last. On the other side, well, in 4 years we won't have the Spooners and the Nurses and the Larocques and perhaps maybe it is the last Olympics for Marie-Philippe Poulin as well. So I don't see the future as bright. I mean, there are a few prospects for sure. Emma Pays, who plays in the NCAA, and Jocelyn Amos as well are two players who should be part of that team maybe in 4 years. But at the same time, they're not as dominant right now as their counterparts in the U.S. team right now.
Pat, I asked Madison and Anso about expansion of the PWHL, and we know that Madison wants it to go to Detroit, and Anso likes Hamilton and Nova Scotia or Halifax. Yes, where do you think the next PWHL location should be?
If there is 4 teams, I see Edmonton, I see Detroit. I do think that Halifax is ahead of Quebec City right now, but I don't know if they want to go there or if they're only going to bring another team to the Toronto area. Hamilton would be the choice. They did a very, very good job at promoting the PWHL when they did the takeover tour over there. And then the other team should be in the Midwest, because you need another door to the west part of the country. You got Edmonton for Canada, but you need one in the US as well. So perhaps, I don't know if Chicago will be at some point. I thought Chicago was the one, but they didn't draw well in the takeover tour. So there's going to be another. There has to be another market there. But yeah, Edmonton, Detroit are the two that I would pick tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see where they decide to go. DC was one that did very, very well. Pete
True.
Blackburn said Columbus would be a good city. People like Chicago, I think, because Chicago is Chicago. Now, whether Chicago can hold a sports team or be able to have the fan interest in going to these games and proving it be successful is a completely different thing. I live here in Vancouver, and the success of the PWHL here has been brilliant. It really has. And I think that those games have been sold out right from the get-go. Fans being able to go to games, it's accessible. They're getting fans are allowed to watch practices. Like there's things that are that they're doing in different parts that are obviously helping the game grow. So it's in a good place, but obviously with the infrastructure, with the money that we always talk about here on this today, you only hope that things can get better.
Yeah, and I mean Washington could be a great pick, because it's on the East Coast, but far enough that perhaps one day could be the door to the Sun Belt. You never know, So I think Washington could perhaps be that second American team. But if there's 4 new team, I really see 2 Canadian teams, 2 American teams, because Canada is too much of a strong market for the league right now, not to take those opportunities and bring 2 more. And I mean, I've been very critical of some decisions the PWHL has taken so far, but I have to admit that Vancouver and Seattle, they were right on the target with those 2 markets. I mean, the 2 are dominating the average attendance so far this year, on top of Montreal and Toronto, which says a lot. So, I mean, that's been great additions to the league so far.
All right, let's get back to this game. Just a couple of minutes left before we let you go and we get to the intermission here. I don't want to say surprised, because I think we can all sit here and say that, we knew that the U.S. was going to win this game at one way or the other. But 8 shots through almost 40 minutes of play. I'll start with you, Ann. So I see you kind of just shaking your head a little bit. That's just not going to cut it if you're Canada.
No, and I said it from the get-go, and they did have some power play looks, but sometimes we missed the net, and Spooner just had a good shot here, but I think it's just a matter of, again, as I mentioned, don't forget about scoring goal. Just put the puck on net, and even if it's from the outside, because that's the only thing they can get. Well, at least just get more shots, and we almost have to come back to the basics, because U.S. team right now is so strong, and what they're seeing and what we're seeing is the U.S. is dominating, and Canada is just defending themselves. So it feels almost it's like what Canada was playing against Czechia, or like outscoring, or Switzerland, like 55. I'm not going to say the U.S. is going to have 55 shots, but like if you're only having 8 shots on goal through 40 minutes, like usually 8 shots should be maybe in one period. Now you have 40 minutes of playing time, and 8 shot is just not enough.
Yeah. I mean, they just got 2 more. It's going to be 10. Pat, let me ask you this. What does Canada need to learn from this experience in this game?
From this game, I mean, that they need to be, I don't even know if there's something to learn. I just don't think they have the roster to compete. I mean, they can try to play better defensively, but I mean, Americans are so fast that it's going to be hard. I mean, exiting the zone with the puck was maybe one of the things that I noticed that Canada really struggled with, especially in the first period. And the Americans are so flawless getting the puck out of their zone. That's like top level play there. So I mean, I don't think there's. I mean, this is going to be the gold medal game, and I honestly don't see it any differently than we are seeing it today. I mean, that's a sad thing to say as a Canadian, but that's the reality to me. And I mean, Ann-Sophie and Madison, you've been following women's hockey, way before I did. Have you ever seen Canada being dominated that much against the U.S. at the Olympics? I don't remember any.
Well, I think the reality of the situation is that you don't even have the best players from that respective country in the PWHL playing on the Canadian roster. So you're right, you don't even dip into the pool then of what available players are playing in the NCAA. They just, for whatever reason, in my opinion, for the first time as long as I went as a kid to the Salt Lake City Olympics. Like I saw women's hockey live. I thought it was the best thing ever. We thought the U.S. was going to win. Obviously, they didn't. But I've been following women's Canadian hockey since you could watch it. this is the first time ever that I say it in a respectful way, but disappointed in Canada because they've had a massive player pool. They've come to kill, and they put together all these different teams going into the World Championships. And I've always thought I have a tremendous amount of respect for Mel Davidson, who I think just never really cared about the World Championships. Really, like obviously it's nice to win them, but they were about the war, right? The Olympics, and they sent all these different teams to the World Championships, and so fell victim to it. Then at the end of the day, they put together what they thought was the best team that was going to win the war at the Olympics. They just didn't do that this time. They got soft.
Yeah, Kendall Cooper, Rebecca Leslie. There's so many players that I would have seen on that team that would have create that shocking that shock that I was talking earlier, that Daniel Sauvageau did in 2002, and I didn't see it here when I saw the final lineup. Both they had 3 NCAA players in their roster. They didn't pick any of them, even Yves Gascon as the third goalie. So I mean, they went with experience. They went with older players, and the thing you got to, because a lot of people were talking about, well, on the American sides, there's a lot of players who are playing the Olympics for the first time. That may be true, but they had a couple of world championship under their belt already, and that counts for something as well. So maybe it's the first Olympics, but they've been playing on a national team for 2-3 years, and that is a lot of experience as well. So I mean, I just don't understand why they pick those players, or some of their players, obviously not all, but that's the main thing that's going to be talked about, after February 19th.
Pat, you're the best.
I mean, you also look at.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you also look at the U.S. Remember, has a history of doing this, right? Like when you look at when they put their team together that ultimately won the gold in 2018, right? They cut they cut Carpenter, they cut Lamoureux, like they trimmed, both Lamoureux, and then they went into the Olympics with a roster that everyone was like, wait, what? And then they won the gold. The same thing here, right? You're looking down the stretch, they cut Abby Rock. Some people were like, oh yeah, I get it. Some people were like, wait, what the heck? I mean, I think that they've been methodical about their roster, and I think that a lot of that goes back to how, again, Canada used to do it, and they stole a play from their book.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of stuff here that's going to be talked about for quite some time. And Pat, please keep your phone on, because we're going to bug you as this tournament kind of moves forward and we go along here. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reaction to it. But after 2 periods of play and almost 4 full games, the U.S. women's national team is well underway to at least medal. You just don't know which one is going to happen at these Olympic Games. So, Pat, thank you very much for joining it. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for the invite, and have a good third period.
Merci, Pat.
Merci.
4-0 for USA over Canada through 40 minutes, just 10 shots on goal for the Canadians. We've talked a lot about it so far. We've talked about the growth of the game and this, that, and the other. But when you look at it, I mean, I asked Pat if there was a learning experience or anything that you can take away. And so as a player, when you're in this game and you're in this situation, you're already without your leader. Let's forget about that. That's already happened. That was 2 periods ago. You probably knew she wasn't playing the other night before the game. Your goalie comes in on back-to-backs. That's the right decision. But you're down to a team that in every aspect of the game is beating you. So what do you look at to go into this third period here?
Well, I mean, I think it's just kind of sticking together and playing as a team. Like sometimes when things go a bit harder, players might tend to do stuff individually and try to do too much. And so it's just, working together and staying united as a group. So the leaders will need to rise up and, trying to stay or win this period. Like, I think it's just a matter of saying, okay, it's 4-0. We might not win the game, but let's try to win this period. Or playing by, 5 minutes block. Be like, okay, let's win this first 5 minutes. And I think they're going to start on the power play. If I saw properly, like, I think Canada is going to be on the power play. So just getting a good start in the period, and, it's tough. It's not an easy position, and, like, not forget about first 2 periods, like try to learn, and I'm not sure they're gonna show videos in between periods, but I think the most important thing is that they're gonna have to stick together as a team and not try to do too much individually, but try to play as a unit of 5.
Madison, though, when you're rolling, this has got to feel good for the Americans. Like, they've never trailed. They've always been up by a couple of goals. They're dominating in shots. They look better, even more physical and things like that. And it has to feel like a point where I asked you after the first game, how do you not get complacent? You said we're in the fourth game now and talking about the exact same thing, just rolling through teams.
Well, yeah, and look at who you have your contribution from, right? Like, I think that's the best part. You've got 2 goals from Hannah Bilka. Like, you've got your young guns getting things done, and I think that is when you've got Hillary Knight on your bench, you've got Alex Carpenter on your bench. Like, that's a lot of pressure alleviated off Kendall Coyne Schofield, right? Like, no disrespect to anybody, you have that on your bench, and your young guns are stepping up and saying, "Okay, we got it." Like, I just think that you can almost feel it from the TV screen, and like, it's just fun to watch. Like they seem like they're having fun. The young players have nothing but smiles on their face. It obviously is a good culture, which you want for all of them. And I just think that it's a team that's clearly inspired. They have their priorities straight. They seem to be bought in for the right reasons. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I keep saying that, but like it truly is. It's just like, it's been a long time as a USA Hockey fan and someone that's been watching the game from the women's side. It's been a long time since you've seen that passion on the bench, and I'm happy for them.
Where does that culture start for this program? And it has been a long time coming. Like you just mentioned, you've been watching this team, especially the women's game, for quite some time. Where does that culture begin and end for this U.S. women's national team?
I think the obvious question, right? The correct executive question is, it comes from the top down. I think that's true. But I think that you saw Kendall Coyne Schofield wear the C. Now Hillary Knight has it. I can say honestly, as now a mom, and I think Ann-So, you can attest to, like, kids change your perspective. And so having kids enter the chat and the equation, whether it's as a mom, as an aunt, whatever your involvement in that life is, it softens and changes things. And they panned at one point during the game to Kendall Coyne Schofield's son caught a puck in the stands. I think that changes your perspective when you recognize like what your quote unquote legacy is and what that looks like. And I think that there are a number of players playing in this game on the Canadian and on the US side who pride themselves in building the future of the game and the next level of what the game looks like. When you have a generation of your own to look at, I think your perspective changes tremendously. And I think that you've seen that shift on the US side. I think that you've seen an ego shift. I think you've seen a perspective shift. And I think that you've just seen a gratitude for the game and a gratitude for what they're participating in that was maybe missing a little bit the last time around.
That's so well said. I couldn't agree more. And it just looks like it too. Like you said, it just looks like, they are a team that is on a business trip by all accounts, right? When you go and look at it. But I'm excited to bring this next person on with us. He writes for Daily's Faceoff. He's covering this tournament for us. Pleased to be joined by Tyler Cool. Tyler, did I get your last name right?
Sorry, just need 1 sec to get him connected here.
No problemo. The live stream, baby.
Is my mic working?
There we go. Welcome, Tyler.
Welcome, Tyler. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Good, thank you, Tyler. Madison Packer, Tyler.
Maddie,
hello.
we connected a while ago. One of my first big features for DFO back in the day was we talked about how this state of Michigan that we live in may or may not need an NCAA hockey team. So
yes,
good to see you again.
Still in the works. It's still in the works.
It's getting there. It's getting there. People have quickly realized raising $330 million for a hockey rink in Ann Arbor is not easy. So it's a process for sure.
All right, Tyler, let me ask you this question. Why and how is the U.S. women's national team so much better than everyone else so far through almost 4 games right now for them?
Well, you've kind of touched it. And in the chats that I've had with a lot of our staff over the last few days this is probably the best American-born hockey team and best team that they've sent to the Olympics since probably 2002. And even I know that team lost in Salt Lake City, but I mean, this collaboration of youth and veteran experience and speed, and just there's not much that Canada's been able to do to slow them down. There's not much but anyone's been able to do to slow them down. And you look at the development, you guys touched on it earlier. I was listening in, and you look at the fact that there's players that are playing collegiately that are the best players on this team. Carolyn Harvey, Layla Edwards, Kirsten Sims, who's a Michigan native, by the way, Plymouth, Michigan. Got to make sure I put that out there. But that's really the big parts for me. And obviously you have the greatest goaltender right now in the game, and Aaron Frankel, and Hillary Knight and Kendall Coyne are still at the top of their game. There's too much. And when we saw that in the rivalry series, just how much Canada they couldn't find a way to slow them down. There was too much speed there, the creativity with the young players and Taylor Heisey, and defensively Canada just does not have any answers for them. And Anne-Renee Desbiens, she's an all-world goaltender, but even all-world goaltenders, when they get hung out to dry, are going to get beat. So that's what I've seen from the U.S. over the past year. You can even go back to the World Championships last year. That's just how good they've been. There hasn't been much change in their roster, neither for Canada. And I think that's what's hurt Canada too, is their lack of change and how they haven't really been able to adjust to combat the Americans. So that's what we've really seen in the first 40 minutes of this game today and over the past, 9 or so months.
What's something that other than Canada and US, what's a storyline that you've been following in these games?
Italy. I mean, has this not just been I know people hark on the fact that they did get a lot of the nationalized players, a lot of North American ties, but you look at players like Nadia Mativi, Matilde Fantine, who's been having a great year at Penn State, players that have come up through the Italy ranks. And for a team that in a country 20 years ago in their first Olympic experience, they got beaten up pretty badly. And yes, that was under the old format where you mixed up the good teams with the bad team. It's not like the tiered groups that they have now, but the way they've battled, the way they played against Japan, the way they narrowly lost to Germany today, and for 30 or so minutes, they kind of hung in there with the Swedes too earlier in this tournament. They've just been so fun to watch, and Laura Fortino has kind of been the voice of the team, especially with the Canadian media, having played for Canada in 2014 and 2018. It's just been fun to watch. They've been a really exciting team. They're a good team. I mean, yes, going up against US or Canada in the quarterfinals, they might be heavily mismatched, but the long and the short of it is the fact that they've been able to capture the audience and the way the fans turn out for them, and people that might not watch hockey in Italy are going to watch this team play. And hey, look, Italy's winning. This is awesome. And they're getting excited about it. The crowds have been great for them. The men's team might not get the same level of success, but what this women's team has done for Team Italy, with so many talented players coming in, following their family heritage to play, to have a chance to play at the Olympics, to get this experience and flourish. It's one of those things that really drives, dare I say, the quote unquote Olympic spirit in you.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see, to be honest. And the men's obviously Italy team, getting in and being as a host country is going to be fascinating to watch as well. But you mentioned it, you hit the nail on the head right there with the women's program and them being able to do what they have in this tournament, and what I don't think that many people expected them to do. For Canada, it's interesting because we talked about them as a team, and it's going to be Canada and the U.S., and it might end up being Canada and the U.S., but right now there is no one that even comes close to the Americans on this tournament, especially on the ice, right? You look at it and say there's no one that can even skate with this hockey team. So for the Canadians, how do you regroup here after 40 minutes, and then you hope to get your captain back at some point, and that can be a little bit of a shot in the arm, but in the end, the U.S. still might be too strong.
Yeah, I've really thought about this, because for me, for seeing this and seeing what's ahead here, that game against Finland on Thursday might not matter too much, and I still think Canada's got a better roster even without Poulin. You play the quarterfinals, you're playing probably Germany in that game, and while Germany's got a good goaltender in Sandra Abstreiter, there's just not enough depth, even with Poulin out of the lineup. So I think you rest up Poulin as much as you can in a situation like this. And you look at the fact of the matter is this: the team that has won in the last 7 major tournaments where Canada and the U.S. have played twice, 4 times the team that wins the preliminary round game loses in the gold medal game. So you got a little bit of history on your side there. And I think if you're Troy Ryan, you go in that room and say, we know what we have to do. We know that we see what the Americans are capable of. We know how they're going to attack us. We know the talent that they have. Well, maybe I dare say this, and it's funny that we're talking about the NHLers coming back here. Maybe try to play a little bad puck here. Play keep away, just park the bus, learn a defensive style of play. I know it sounds boring, and we all remember how boring that U.S.-Canada semifinal was between the men back in the day, back there in Sochi, but it worked. I mean, that might be the way that Canada can beat the U.S. is if they simply just kind of play 1-4 trap hockey, because they can't outgun the Americans. They don't have the speed. Laura Stacey and Renata Fast are quick and everything, but that's 2 players. You can't play a wide open, freestyle of hockey that you maybe could have 4 years ago in Beijing. A couple of years ago, we remember that 6-5 final in Utica. That was when there was a little bit younger of a roster, a little bit more, green in there. And obviously the puck kept going in for both teams. Frankel and Desbiens couldn't make a save in that game. But you look at what the Canadians have to do in this tournament if they want to win gold. They're just going to have to keep things simple. They can't try to they can't try to score 5 goals against the U.S. They have to try to hold the U.S. to 3 or less, and that's going to come down to that back end that a lot of us had a lot of questions going into this tournament, and we're seeing those questions be answered here today.
Madison, before we bring on Kayie Fracken, you laughed at when Tyler said you got to dumb it down a little bit and maybe do that. Why?
That's a bold strategy, but maybe.
Yeah. I mean, well,
we'll see how that lands with the fans. I don't know if women's hockey can afford that.
I understand, and trust me, I understand that. It pushed the game back, it pushed the development back and everything. But if you want to win this game, I mean, they gave up 24 goals in 4 games in the rivalry series. They got beaten up pretty badly there in the gold medal game, and I think. And you even go back to 22 in Beijing, right? Canada beat the U.S. twice, but that's because Anne-Renee Desbiens was stood on her head for 2 games. I mean, historically, the last few years, the Americans have really been the better team in almost every single tournament. Canada just gotten great goaltending and Marie-Philippe Poulin scoring big goals. And, of course, Daniel Serdachny a couple of years ago. I just don't know what this group of talent that Canada brought to this tournament could do to hold up with the Americans, to hang with them right now, let alone beat them. That's, I think, the big problem. And that's what's hard for me.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think it's the scales are almost too imbalanced, and it's hard to think about when you look at the names that are on Canada's roster. But we said it before, they didn't even bring the best players, in my opinion, in the PWHL. When you look at the depth from the NCAA players on the U.S. side, I mean, how deep is your roster when Kristen Sims is on your 4th line, Kendall Coyne is on your 3rd line? You only rely on one player so deep.
Because I love Gina Kingsbury and Troy Ryan. They do great things. But when you bring back the same group of players for every single game that they've had the same group in the rivalry series that they played now, outside of a couple because of roster size, obviously, only 23 players for the Olympics. But that didn't work. So when you don't change something, it's the definition of insanity, expecting a different result when you try the same thing over and over again here. So now we're seeing the U.S. U.S. up 4 in this game. I don't know how it's going to change in the gold medal game, even if Canada comes out with a better effort.
Tyler, you do great work. Oh, sorry. Tyler, you do great work for us. Yeah.
You're thinking alike over here, Irf. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in the way there.
No, you guys are good. That was some great stuff here. Obviously, interesting to hear your insight as we've always heard Madison's. But Tyler, thank you so much for doing this. Keep up the great work. We'll be sure to read from you, and keep your phone on, man. I'm gonna bug you here over the next little while as we continue to get through this tournament and off to the gold medal game next week.
Sounds good, Irf. Thanks. Appreciate
it. It's Tyler Cole. He writes for us here at the Nation Network. Tons of great stuff happening as we welcome back in Ann-Sophie Bettez and Kayie Fracken. How are you? What is going on?
Fratty Daddy.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Are you enjoying watching this game as both of us here are enjoying this game as well?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Man, US has got some really good players. They're quite the challenge. Good group they've got over there.
When you've watched this game and this team through this tournament, we've said it since day one, and even probably before this has started, that Canada was going to be the biggest challenge probably for the Americans, but it's proving to A, not be a challenge, and B, not even be close, with just the difference in talent right now from USA compared to Canada.
Yeah, I mean their youth is really good. Like I've been doing following a lot of those players at the college level, and they decided to go a completely different route than Canada this year, with Canada just going with their experience, and they have a couple of younger players getting their first look at Olympic Games, but taking the approach that the US has, they've developed a lot of those players over the last 5 years, and you have players like Murphy and Harvey and Bilka, who, I mean, they're completing like elite skills at the highest level and quickest level possible, that quite frankly they're just more skilled than majority of the players on Canada toe to toe, in my opinion. And just the structure that they're put in, with their coaching staff is very different than Canada. Canada is very structured and they play like a very systematic game. And I think the openness and creativity that and quick transition game that US has, like they're just catching Canada in opportunities that they're taking advantage of.
4-0 now. Shots 22-12, 4 minutes gone in the third period. Let's take a trip down memory lane now a little bit, because Madison, we asked if you who would you want to get to join, and you said, "Oh, let's see if I can get Kayie Fracken on it," and you did. So where did your relationship start, and how did you two meet?
Oh, Fratty, where do we start, my girl?
Man, this dates back to, if you want to know, a younger Madison when she had long hair and was a totally different person. I've got all those stories for you, but no, dates back to, God, Pack, what, 15 years old?
Yeah,
I'd say.
We played U18s against each other, and then Kaylie was coming to live with me, right? She lived with me for like 6 months. We played together on Little Caesars. And then the funniest connection, in my opinion, is it did not end well. When Kaylie lived with me, it did not end well. We both were 15 with egos, so it landed not well. And then she became best friends with my now wife. So then when my wife and I met, when my wife and I met, she was like, "Oh, I'm best friends with Kaylie Fracken," and I was like, "Oh, she hates me." And so then, that's.
And then we ended up playing. Yeah, we ended up playing against each other.
Oh yeah, we played together too. We
NWHL we played together, and then we were rivals, and now we see a lot of each other. We're friendly now.
That's great. You're also from
she's like crazy, by the way. She like hit me with a full blast slap shot, and I was like, dude, that really hurt. Like it like actually cracked my shin. It cracked my shin pad, and I had a dent in my shin bone. And she's like, you're such an effing baby. And I was like, no, like low key, like you broke my gear and my leg. Psychopath.
No, you should.
She's like, next time you won't block my shot.
So Marie-Philippe Poulin said you can't skate. Kayie Fracken broke your shin. There's just a lot of animosity right now towards the Canadians. No, I'm kidding, but
yeah, I told Irf about when Poulin said I can't skate. Got me deep.
She might have a point.
Oh.
Tough day for you, Madison.
It's a tough. Well, at least USA's winning, and there's not even close in this hockey game.
Yeah, like Ann-Sophie dodged a snow roll today, so.
Well, that's just being smart. Getting there a bit late.
Kaylie, I wanted to ask you, you grew up in these parts where I'm from in Vancouver, Burnaby area, two-sport provincial champion. And it's always fascinating to me when players play multiple sports and then you pick one and you obviously excel at another. So how big was that for you in your development through your athletic career to, play in two different sports, but also excel at both and go on to win those provincial championships?
Yeah, it was so important to be a multi-sport athlete. That was just something that I enjoyed doing, and my family really encouraged me to do. Soccer was definitely my close second of a sport, and then naturally, I played lacrosse too. Obviously, different than field lacrosse in the U.S. So I was played box lacrosse. I also figure skated competitively as well. So I was just a kid that kind of did everything and enjoyed it. And it wasn't really until I was like, later on 15 years old when I decided hockey was definitely going to be the front runner. But it was yeah, just playing the different sports was so important, and I think now it's really lost on a lot of people. They think you have to specialize at a really young age, and I'm like a firm believer in being able to play as many sports as possible. And then obviously at a certain point you do have to make somewhat of a commitment, but it doesn't need to be at 7, 8 years old like some people are doing these days.
Yeah, I mean that's to me that's crazy. It's that talent. It's what parents are doing now with one sport and things like that. When you look at it from your development and going through the national team program to kind of where it is now, and obviously the pinnacle of it is these winter games that are happening in Milan. You look at these two teams and how different they are. Where do you think Canada needs to go? Where's the next step for Canada to be successful and to try and get back to the level where we can look at it and say that they're not close in this hockey game and it's probably USA's tournament to lose. So where does Canada go from here?
Canada has to rebuild back at their under 18 development programs. Their start there really back at the youth side of it has definitely come along. So there has been good coaches, good resources, and a lot at the youth level that I think has come a long way in respect to like when all three of us were playing and growing up. But I think really honing in on that U18 development side is something that Canada needs to do. I think it's got lost away from them. I think they also need to do a better job at recycling players or cycling players, not recycling. That's what I think they're doing is I think they're recycling too many players within the program. They need to do a better job at cycling players in and out. They need to give other players an opportunity. I think there's a structure in place that has allowed for players to get invited time and time again. And I think, you know, cycling players in and out, but also not cutting players too early in a program. I think they at times don't give players the opportunity to grow and develop to be able to peak at the proper time. I think they have gotten rid of players very early in the development process. Like I think they've gotten rid of players at U18 programs and cut them from the program and said we're parting ways with you. And I don't think you should be parting ways with a player at an under 18. Like they haven't even remotely hit their max and peak. I think that that's something that, yeah. So sorry, long-winded answer there, but like cycle
No.
players in and out. And don't get rid of players too early in the cycle season. Like you don't need to be, getting rid of players, like I said, at an U18 level. Like I think that's ludicrous.
And so when you look at it from Canada's point of view, I think she hit all the nails on the head there. It's that grassroots level. It's not cutting a player when they haven't reached their peak at the U18 level and going with what you have. And then for the lack of a better word, like we mentioned, it's recycle, keep bringing back the same team, keep bringing back the same players. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We will continue to with the US. There's so many players that play the collegiate level on this roster. And it's like, Canada, what's happening there right now?
Yeah, well, I feel like it was kind of like the story of my life in the sense like as I mentioned earlier, like I did peak later, but had they not
Yeah.
came back to me, I mean 9 or 10 years later, I would have never had the chance. And it seems like they don't want to do that because it's like admitting that you made a mistake of letting go a player too early. And like I think it's just a matter of finding that right balance of when does a player peak? And it's not because you release a player that you cut them and you cut ties forever. We look at Carpenter. She didn't make the past
27.
Olympics.
Female athletes peak at 27. That's the
There you
answer to your
go.
question.
So,
Yeah.
like even like we're talking about under 18, but even like the development team, like under 25, or like it's just a matter of building that pool, and you never know what's going to happen. So it's just to keep developing those players and, selecting at the time of the Olympics who's going to be that greatest, who's going to be the best, basically. And no matter what the age, no matter where you come from, and now with the PWHL, hopefully it's going to be a better leapway for, to develop those players, but to keep an eye on who can make it, and it's not a matter of, okay, well, these girls were for the championship, world championship, and we're going to kind of keep them and maybe change one or two. But again, like we look at Carpenter, she didn't make one of the Olympics, and look at her now. She's like amazing. So I think it's kind of a mistake, and Fracken made it. She nailed it right on it, in the sense like they need to be patient and they need to put the time. And again, hopefully with the PWHL, it will allow the players to develop and give them opportunity to shine. Like Pat mentioned earlier, like Rebecca Leslie. I remember we were playing together. We were on the roster with the national team at the same time. But look at her now; she's having an amazing season with Brianne Jenner. Like, why not bring her? Like, why not change it a little bit and kind of like put some water on the flowers that they're gonna grow.
She's having a better season than Jenner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you just mentioned it there, Madison, like cutting a player at 17 when the peak for women to reach the peak as a professional athlete is 27 years old. That's crazy to me, to be able to identify that this player isn't going to be good, or that you're done with this player at such a young age. It doesn't help the player's confidence either. They're probably, you're done with them at the program. And two, you look at it and you just handcuff yourself by not being able to grow with these young and develop this young talent that you might have.
Well, yeah,
Well,
and you're not
I
even
think you
taking
can
the best. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Freddie. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and you're not selecting the best players at the end of the day. Like you're not taking the best players in the country. And like if you look at the men when the NHL is selecting their rosters, for the most part, like they're taking guys that based off of how they're performing at a specific time, and they want to structure the best roster in place. And I think you're making a disservice to your team if you're not selecting the best players, and if you're committing to investing in a player well in years before, and then like Anso was saying, you're like committed to that player and you're gonna kind of carry them out all the way through, and if they're not performing, they're not good enough. Like they just shouldn't be there. And so yeah, just you need to take the best players, and I don't think they're doing that right now.
Like for me to sit here, I can easily just ask why, but there's just so many layers that goes into that answer. Probably. Yep. Go ahead.
I have one answer as to why.
Yeah, there you go. Please give it to me.
I think it's interesting to see it play out live, because I think that for a long time, the landscape in women's hockey, people thought it was going to be the flip. However, when you saw all the women's professional leagues come together and you saw everything like kind of collapse and rebuild and whatever, like the only real skin in the game from an international perspective was Canada, because there was a lot of intertwining and intertangling for Team Canada. So in the way that Team Canada, in my opinion, was able to hold their cards very close to the chest in years prior, right? They had this large player pool where they did things very secretively, and they had all these teams and they put together the best team at the end. Well, then you just basically turned the professional league into what you thought should be Team Canada's player pool. And what the Americans were frustrated by, and that like we're making team, there you go, yes, scores again. Young gun again.
Ayla.
You think that you're exposing the American system, but really you're building on the backs of the Canadians. And so then the Americans were able now to leverage all of the Canadian resources, and it makes carding, all these other things, more affordable for USA Hockey. And then, oh, by the way, they also have all these other NCAA athletes that they're willing to invest in and bet on, right? Like they're winning majorly. Oh my God, that kid is so good.
Yeah, 5-0
Goalie change.
Yeah, 5-0 for USA over Canada. Layla Edwards with the goal, and now Emmerich Mashmeyer is in goal for Canada. I don't think that either of us can sit here, or any of us can sit here and say that that's a surprise. I think on the second of back-to-backs, the way the game is at the time, get Emmerich into the game, give her a feel for this tournament right now.
Yeah.
How does that land with Anne Renee? Getting
I don't
pulled
know.
at the Olympics.
Dang.
See, but that's another
tough.
thing that I might not understand is the getting pulled at the Olympics, like you just mentioned, right? Is that something that's going to, upset the player? There was a graphic that was up there. She becomes the third Canadian goalie to save 1,000 shots ever at the Olympic Games. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah,
and a lot of shots.
Freddie and I also went to Catholic school together. So as Sister Kathy would say, pulling Anne Renee at the Olympics lands like a fart in church.
It's not good.
Not well. Not well.
Not
Okay.
well.
Okay, but then it's interesting to see what happens here now, right? Is Anne Renee, is she your goalie, Anso? Or what do you do here now?
She is. I mean, like, that was Ambrose made a pass right in the middle and turnover. And, I mean, that was a wicked shot by Layla Edwards. And it's not as if Anne is bad. I mean, I don't think any of these goals were, like, awful. But I think it's just a matter of trying to get a spark. And, as you said, 2 games in 2 days, short turnaround. And I think, Madison, you said it earlier, like, if Anne Renee's on, she's on. Maybe just right now it's tough to get it going, and Anne Renee won't be able to score goals from the back end. And she did stop or face 27-something shots. That's a lot of shots for for a goalie compared to the games that they've had. Like, I don't remember how many shots she faced yesterday, like 7, 8.
Yeah, not many. I don't think it was over 10.
It's tough, but Anne Renee is probably your best player right now, even if she got pulled.
It's true. Hey, let me ask you this. Yeah. When you look at a tournament like this and the success that Canada is supposed to have, and we know what the Americans were going to do in this tournament, does this change perception at all of the players that were selected, the coach you selected to do the players, the general manager that was selected in this whole process? Because you look at it, and right now, the Americans they show no signs of slowing down, and unfortunately for Canada right now, this is more than their Achilles heel. Like this is a tough hill to climb to get past this U.S. team, and they don't show any sign of doing it. Not just this tournament, but even maybe years to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a question as to who you move forward with as a whole and what you do to structure, your GM, coach, everything moving forward. I think that's something they have to go back to the drawing board, regardless of how the tournament, pans out, however things finish. Like, I think you have to go back to the drawing board and really start to assess, everything down to, even the scouting. Like, scouting is a huge piece of the Canadian system that, when we were talking about those development programs and the scouts that they've had, and they've had a lot of the same scouts for a lot of years. So I think it goes back to, like, looking internally at everything down to, like I said, like your regional scouts within your provinces, and just really dissecting kind of everything, and starting from the ground. Like, the expectation is to win, and there's been high expectations for so many years in every tournament that Canada's playing in. And I think there's been enough of a showing to be able to say, like, we have to go back and look at things internally. Just if we want to win in the next 4 years, that's what I think.
Yeah, no, and so it's interesting because look, Canada's probably, like, you're gonna go to the Olympics, you're gonna win a silver medal. You're probably gonna go home and medal, right? Unless something crazy happens, you never know.
You lose the gold. You don't win silver.
You lose the gold. You go home, but you go home with a medal. That's what I'm saying. You're going home with a medal, but that shouldn't be. But my point is, the goal shouldn't be silver. You shouldn't be happy with that. You're not happy with going home with a silver medal. So to your point, Kaylie, the 4-year plan has to start like now, and even an 8-year plan needs to start now as to what you want to see, who you want to develop, and how you want to go about that.
Yeah, like I totally agree. And we were talking about people in Quebec and here, and there's two amazing players and that are being ignored by Hockey Canada because scouts, they don't come to watch them play. And at Kaylee's point, it's it's always staying in the same routine, and like it's yeah, recycling players. It's exactly what it is right now. And now most of these players are going to retire, and then you lose most of your core. So why not, like, now we can't go back in the past, but why not for this Olympic? Like, why not have a good mix like the US of youth and experience? I mean, experience is good, but at some point, the speed that the US have, like, there's only a few players that can keep up with them right now. And like
And look,
on
yeah.
that last zone entry, like there's 1-on-3 for the US, and she had control of the puck. So like at the end of the day, you need to change how you're gonna do stuff. And the other thing is, like I don't know with the venue of the PWHL now, the fact that I don't want to take anything away from Gina Kingsbury and Troy Ryan, but they're coaching in the PWHL, but they also have to factor in who's going to be playing for the national team. And should we just separate that and have somebody external and have, okay, I'm going to be neutral, and we're not, it's not okay, come for Toronto, I'm going to give you a shot at playing at the national team. I don't know if these things are happening or not, but should we have like an external person that is coming out fresh, and whoever's working for the PWHL, you work for the PWHL, and you don't necessarily work for Hockey Canada, or I don't know. I'm just thinking out here, but maybe they're gonna need to be like hit a refresh button and be like, okay, how do we start from scratch? Because again, I don't even know how many players from that roster is going to be part of the next Olympics.
Yeah, and look, I think for me, I mean, you guys can speak to this as players. This is just not on players. This is on how you build a team, right? Maybe there are players that shouldn't be on this roster, and there are other players that should, like as you're alluding to. And so this one's not on the players. The players are going to go play the games no matter what at the end of the day, and they're going to give their all. And you're at the Olympics, and you're going to try as hard as hell. But maybe it's about identifying who needs to be there based on what your need, not based on what maybe the player's done in the past or something like that. I just think that there's a lot of that where you see it both on the men's side as well and on the women's side. But going back, the U.S. has won the last 6 meetings. Kaylie, should we not have seen this coming? Like, the rivalry series was a sign of anything to look at what was going to happen in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall a long time ago, but it's just a matter of if you were willing to make those changes. And I think, and I don't know, like Ann-So was saying, like you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and you don't know the inner workings of everything. But like from an outside perspective, I mean, you see some players that haven't been performing well at tournaments, and then they go into their regular season, they're also underperforming, and they get on a roster spot or come off an injury, get a roster spot, probably not even 100% healthy. And like, I just don't understand how you don't see the writing on the wall well before that. Their question marks are on my side. But again, like, I guess you don't know what you don't know.
No, of course. Anything else for Kaylie? We've got a few minutes left in this game. Thank you for being so gracious with your time. We do appreciate it. We might bug you again as this goes on.
Niter picked up a point somewhere. Now she's tied for first.
Okay, there we go. But Kaylie, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See ya.
Kaylie Fracken, so kind of her to join us. I didn't know she was from these parts, right down the road from where we are here in downtown Vancouver. Went to Burnaby Central, 2-sport provincial champion. Pretty good now, and obviously, close with you, Madison. Okay.
I went. My first and only time in Vancouver was for her wedding, and my wife was 8.5 months pregnant, but she was Kaylee's maid of honor, so we had to go. So we had to drive. And what's that hill that you climb? Something with a G? Something
Grouse
grind?
grind. The grouse
Yeah.
grind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
There's
did
no way.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Horrible.
I thought you were gonna say your
s-
8.5 month pregnant wife did that.
No way. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that
she
would
did
not have
not.
been good.
But we drove there and then we went out for sushi like the night before the wedding we went out for sushi and like I have a tendency to overindulge in everything I do. So a lot of sushi, a lot of beer, good time. Woke up the next morning like the girls were rowdy. I'm like, "Oh, let's go do this thing. Like, let's go do this hill thing. Like how hard can it be?" There were also people there like in dress clothes. So I was like I like liked my chances. I got like halfway up, lost my lunch and my beer and my sushi, and then I walked down. I didn't even make it to the top.
You
I had
didn't
to
even get
walk
halfway.
down
You
the
didn't even get all the way.
stairs.
I've lived here my entire life. I've only ever done it once, and I'll never do it again. And so, do you know what the
Never.
grouse grind is here in Vancouver?
No,
So it's
it's
basically
I've never.
it's a hike up a mountain that goes like that, like literally up the mountain.
Okay.
And it's a trail, and you take it. The beauty of it is you get to the top and overlooks downtown Vancouver, the top of a mountain on the North Shore. It's beautiful, and you take the trolley or the tram all the way down. But people do it like you just mentioned in dress clothes, and it's unbelievable. Well,
You can also just take the tram to the top.
yes, you can.
I learned that
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, yeah. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. Canada has a grouse grind to climb if they even want to come close to competing with the U.S. here in the rest of this tournament. But look, there's a minute left in the game. Shots are 33-20, up 5-0. They've controlled every aspect of this game. Like, if you're Troy Ryan here, you have to be looking at it and saying, okay, we play Finland on Thursday. That's the last game of our, group stage. And then we go to the quarterfinals, and then we're going to go to the semifinal. And obviously, if all goes well, we will be in the final again. So you've got 3 more games. What can you do to improve and try and get better in these next couple of games at least?
Score more goals.
Well, at the end of the day, it's take more shots too, right? Well, I mean, they
Yeah,
can
like, I
score.
mean-
They just can't score against the Americans.
I mean that the third period is like a 1-0 period. So like in my mind, I think like I didn't like overly analyze because we were talking, but if we just look into the scoring area, that was a better third period for Canada. But it's not easy, and again, it's gonna have to stick together, and probably against Finland, and we like Canada won't be able to take them lightly. It's not because it's Finland that like it's gonna be an easy win, and even if that game's still part of the round robin, like, and I don't even know like is Canada gonna play on the Friday, on the Saturday, like is the schedule is not out yet, I think, but imagine that they play on Friday. That means they played Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday. That'd be crazy. So, I mean, they're just gonna have to give it their all, and there's not much to say. Like, I'd like to create something and find something magical, but and then if Poulin doesn't come back, it's not helping the situation. So it's tough. So I guess it's enjoy the ride and you put everything out there, and if you do everything you can and you're possible and you end up having silver, then, at least you've done everything you can in your power.
5-0 final for USA over Canada, dominated in every aspect of the game. Madison, let's get your final thoughts before we end this live stream, and then we'll quickly do something for the game after. But your final thoughts on this U.S. convincing win over Canada.
Yeah, I think that Kaylie and Ann-Sophie both said it. This isn't on the players, in my opinion. Respectfully, nothing personal. Like my job is to analyze and give my honest opinion. I don't think that Ambrose has any business being on that team. I don't have a problem with O'Neill being on that team. But I don't think that, if you remove Poulin from the equation, and I don't mean this because they're fiancés, I mean this from a chemistry on the ice standpoint, is Laura Stacey an Olympian without Marie-Philippe Poulin? Well, tonight I think we learned the answer to that question, right? Like respectfully, Jocelyn Larocque should not be on that team. I think that that's, those are incredible players who have done a tremendous amount for the game. But I think that an example, Jill Saulnier's performance in the PWHL this season made a hell of a stronger case than most of these women tonight for their for a fight to be on the Olympic team. So I think that the U.S. had better strategy, whether that's because Canada's advisors are all way too close to the chest. I don't know. I think that I've said this before. Ellen Hughes she's got 3 sons playing in the NHL. She's a tremendous hockey mind. She gets it from both perspectives. She's a huge advisor and a huge part of what put this U.S. women's team together. And I think that they've done an incredible job. I think that at the very least, Canada has learned a hard lesson the hard way, that they were just playing everything way too close to the vest. Like, I actually like the Kristen O'Neill pick. I don't think that's a pity pick. I'm not talking about pity picks or whatever. I just think that Canada was short-sighted and blindsided in how they picked this team, and that was on full display tonight.
All right, we'll leave it with there. We'll end the live chat. That was great stuff. Madison Packer and Ann-Sophie Bettez, thank you so much for joining along for the ride. All our guests, thank you as well. We really appreciate it. That was 3 hours of fun, not so much for Canada, as the U.S. women's national team defeats Canada by a score of 5-0. And we will be recording our episode of Quest for Gold following this live stream. So make sure you look for that. Obviously, get the reactions from Madison Packer and Ann-Sophie Bettez. Until the next time, take care.